has the damn green light.
Tell anyone who gets scared by a bear in the neighborhood, call Joe Murray.
I happen to trust Joe Murray.
First time I ever met Joe Murray was at a hoop.
Welcome in 98.5, the Sports Hub of Joe Murray with you tonight. Full show, fourth and Friday, the final fourth and Friday of the season. I've had people ask me, what does fourth and Friday mean? And it just really means that it's fourth and Friday. It's really what it means. It's fourth down, baby. We're going for it. This is it, the last one of the year. And we will have a big game-centric show today. Some people don't like to use the word SB. The big game is this Sunday. We'll break it down extensively today. We'll have Dan Lifshatz in studio tonight. Bankroll boys for the biggest betting weekend of the year, or is it? But we got all your prop bets. I actually really want to start getting into the game. And I have done another podcast where I had to make a pick. And I have made picks at other places. I have yet to make a pick on this show. I don't think Skaz has made his pick yet. So I still need more time. So we got Joe Me the Money coming up 9:35 tonight. You don't want to miss it. Should be a good one. The phone number here is 617-779-0985. We will do some NBA stuff as well. We'll talk with Kyle Irving from Underdog. Take a look around the NBA with him. And like I said, Dan Lifshatz in studio. Full show tonight. Opening take brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Opening take, ESPN Bet Sportsbook. So I have two takes to start. Chiefs-Eagles. We have ourselves a rematch. Hurts versus Mahomes. Sirianni versus Reed. You have that Eagles young defense led by Vic Fangio, their defensive coordinator, who yet goes to another Super Bowl, but has yet to take one down. Fangio and Spagnuolo might be the two best defensive coordinators of the era. I said it. The two best defensive coordinators of the era going at it this weekend. And I just look at the Kansas City Chiefs, who've won 12 one-score games this season. The Chiefs have won the last 17 one-score games they've played. Do you know how Vic Fangio has done against Patrick Mahomes? Not good. Bad. 0 for, actually. 0 for. 0 for 8. There's a lot on the line this week for the defenses. We talk about the quarterbacks. We talk about what it means for Patrick Mahomes and really what it could mean for Jalen Hurts. No doubt about it. There's a lot of superstars. Does Nick Sirianni belong on that level? These are the questions to be answered this week. I think Chiefs winning is good for the Patriots. Some people think it's bad and it's team to go 3 in a row, and I think it's good for the Patriots because it's always, are they better than the Patriots? Are they better than the Patriots? When you're in that conversation, it means it's good for you. So personally, I think the Chiefs winning doesn't affect the Patriots whatsoever. It's good for them. I talked about these one-score games. The line indicates that. The betting line opened -1.5 Kansas City Chiefs. And at ESPN Bet Sportsbook, it's a pick'em. You can go to different books. DraftKings might be right around 1.5. It moves around. Look for the best bet. Money has come in on the Eagles. I know that money is, we'll talk about it. Lifshatz will give you a whole rundown on it later on tonight. But I do think that the Chiefs winning is good for the Patriots. Here's another thing I've been thinking about all week long, and I've asked everybody I've talked to about this one, and now I got to get it off my chest. I can't help but think the Patriots could have won 3 in a row. I can't help but think about it. I think that another reason why I think it's good for the Patriots, Yes, they're still the team that won 6, so they'll always be compared, which is great. But the Patriots should have won 3 in a row. They beat the Falcons. That next year, they lost to the Eagles in the Malcolm Butler Super Bowl. That's what we call it, everybody. Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and had 1 turnover, and they lost the game. There was a lot that happened in that game. Officiating, you name it. Just, how about chance, luck? Just, if you had an opportunity to do it. That's what the Eagles did that day. I just look at it and say, they failed that one. And then they beat the Rams the following year. They won 2 out of 3. They did it twice. They didn't do 3 in a row. They should have done 3 in a row. They didn't. Who do you blame for that one, everybody? Bill Belichick. That's who we blame. We'll talk about Bill Belichick throughout the show as well. And, while we're at it, we broke news last night here on the show. The class of 2025, the Hall of Fame class of 2025, was announced last night. And when I saw that the name Adam Vinatieri wasn't on the list, I blew a gasket. I feel like him not being in the Hall of Fame is absolutely insulting. I feel like you can't talk about Super Bowls without mentioning Adam Vinatieri. For years, I heard about how clutch Joe Montana was. I heard, he's so clutch. I don't care that Adam Vinatieri was a kicker. I'm taking that out of it. When it came to clutch moments in sports and in big situations in the toughest game in the world, he was as clutch as they came. He did it multiple times, whether it was to win games, whether it was to tie games. He did it for 2 different teams and one for 2 different teams. He's the all-time point scorer in the NFL, and he's not in first ballot? I don't care that he's a kicker. He was clutch. He performed. In the biggest moments, he rose to the occasion. Other players have been applauded their career for this and go right in. So why didn't Adam Vinatieri go in first ballot? Was it a case of bias against kickers? Was it a bias against the Patriots? And I hate to match them all up. Congratulations, Jared Allen, you're in. Sterling Sharp, you probably should have been in. Fine. Antonio Gates, made. Done. I'm sorry, Mr. Eric Allen. I'm sorry. And I don't even apologize. Yes, you had just as many interceptions as Ty Law. But is that what we go by these days as statistics? What impact did that man make? And how long was he on the Hall of Fame ballot for? How old's our intern, Trent? How old is he?
21.
Okay. Eric Allen on the ballot for 19 years. Imagine just sitting there for 19 years and nobody picked you. But you picked him over the player with the most points in NFL history. That's what happened yesterday. So I ask you, was it a case of bias? For 2 reasons. Position and team? I sure think so. I sure think so. What else would that man have had to do in his career to not get in first ballot? But I'm certainly intrigued for next year. You know who's on the ballot next year? Bill Belichick. What happens now? Does he return to the NFL and want to be a coach? Will there be bias there? Will there be a Patriots bias? Will there be a Belichick bias? I will say this, which is pretty cool if you really want to look at it. There may be an opportunity where Adam Vinatieri and Bill Belichick go in together. And I think that would show domination. I just wonder about future Patriots. Is there a bias towards the Patriots when it comes to the Super Bowl? Here we are for 2 straight weeks. We've talked about who's better, Belichick or Andy Reid, Brady or Mahomes, Kelsey or Gronk. So all those discussions are great. You can have them for 2 weeks long on Radio Row, but when it comes down to it, who are the people making the decisions for these people to go to the Hall of Fame? I think it needs to just be better. It's a horrible, horrible just way to vote people in. I think it's awful. That's the real problem here. But are they gonna turn their nose to Bill Belichick? How could you? And that's why I wonder if there's a bias, and I want to start looking through some of the lists of who could be next. Oh, who's better? Mahomes or Brady? How about who's going into the Hall of Fame? That's what matters. We'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. We'll get Skaz's thoughts as well. I got a list. I've now started thinking about what Patriots should be in and what Patriots should be out, and we'll do that coming up next. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. Fourth and Friday, last football Friday of the year, everyone. I can feel it, though. Super Bowl's coming. Can you feel the snow coming as well? Because, I don't know. I feel like we should do an over-under before we get... We'll ask Lifshatz when he comes in. Maybe we'll curate an over-under of snow. Maybe we'll do Waltham, Massachusetts. But, you know... Oh, yeah, the meteor, they're loving it now, man. Our buddy Marshall Hook, wherever he is, he's got that truck ready to go, baby. I already moved my shovels out today. I got my little beanie hat, my gloves ready to go. So they better be right, Skaz. And that means then tomorrow. Oh, you know where you don't want to go tomorrow? Market Basket. That's, again, I have trials and tribulations at a Market Basket. But I've learned now that there's an app you can use. And we advertise it. It's the Coach's Interview, Shaw's and Star Market app. So, Skaz, I've went off about the Chiefs game. I've went off about the Patriots. Is there anything that you want to pick apart or build on that I had the leadoff take with?
No, I'm with you, Joe. I think Vinatieri's a Hall of Famer. I don't feel that there's a Patriots bias. I know we're going to get into that shortly. I don't feel that way. I think Adam Vinatieri will get in. I'm a little disappointed that was it 4 guys went in and only 3 were really, from this year. I think more guys need to get in when you look at who's coming up the next couple years. They're kind of forcing themselves into a bad spot. Where
what about making it like you have to have? Would it be bad if they made it like you have to, like a lineman should have won it?
Well, like Marshall Yanda is a guy who, most people, he's not, you don't think of him, but he's probably one of the best interior offensive linemen that's played in the last 25, 30 years.
The name I saw in there was Willie Anderson.
There's another guy, too, yeah.
Like, how's that guy? I think he won with the Saints, right? I'm just thinking off my head, like, he was a winner. What do these guys have to do to be first ballot now? I mean, next year's class, we'll get into it, but Drew Brees, is he first ballot?
You'd have to think so.
You would have to think so.
Larry Fitzgerald.
But he won a Super Bowl. One. How do you leave off Larry Fitzgerald? And then you know who else is up next year? Julian Edelman. Which leads into my next take. As we look ahead here, we got to start thinking about the Patriots because the new Patriots aren't. There's nobody, right? Just thinking off the current top. There's nobody on the team now, right? No, nope. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to double check on that one. All right, so the Patriots have a list of deserving Hall of Famers. My question is there a bias? In is Andre Tippett, Ty Law, Richard Seymour. All deserving. These are the future locks that have yet to happen. Vinatieri, Belichick, Brady, Gronk, Kraft. Now, Kraft has to get voted in from the Veterans Committee, right? So that's why I put a little asterisk next to it. Some have been held out, right? Rodney Harrison, bias. Corey Dillon, bias. Now, maybe their own, both of them. Ben Coates. And the tight end game has changed. So when you look at the all-time list of tight ends, he was there before he got passed by all these Hall of Famers. Irving Fryer. Still in the... Bruce Armstrong was their best left tackle, maybe of all time. Maybe. And then next year, Belichick, Edelman. And I think the Belichick thing, if he comes back, is he still eligible? See, I don't know how that works. They put in that new rule this year. So now here are the Are They Hall of Famers list. Willie McGinnis. I think he's got a really good case. Most postseason sacks all time. Was a big part of all the 12 great seasons in New England. And how many iconic plays did he make? But again, 2-time Pro Bowler, right? Wes Welker, in. I am so in on Wes Welker being a Hall of Famer. I could do that. I've written articles about this. I've derailed shows because of it. He was a big part of the 07 offense that broke a record. He's the all-time receiving leader for the New England Patriots. He led the NFL in receptions in 3 seasons. He broke 120 receptions twice. But what do you remember him for? But will they do it to Mark Andrews now? Right? Will they do it to him? Who else dropped the ball this year? Anybody else drop a pass that we can remember? This is what I mean, though. Wes Welker was the first true, great slot receiver. How about another one? Are they Hall of Famers? Corey Dillon. Only spent 3 seasons with the Patriots, but helped them win a Super Bowl. He rushed for 1,600 yards. But when you look at all-time running backs, where does he list? He just got passed by Derrick Henry. Literally. Is Derrick Henry a Hall of Famer, Skaz?
Derrick Henry?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
He just passed Corey Dillon. Literally. You know who else he passed? John Riggins. Hall of Famers. Now, Fred Taylor's on this list, who has more yards than Corey Dillon. Never won. Or was he on one of those Patriots? I don't know, actually. But like Marcus Allen, Marshall Faulk, Jim Brown, Eric Dickerson, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerome Bettis, Barry Sanders, Walter Penn. Like, he's 20th all time. He was a bad guy. He had some issues. Big part of the best Patriots team potentially of all time. Logan Mankins. In or out?
I think I'd be out there.
Guy was an all-pro. Could play tackle if he wanted to. Great guard. He was a mauler. He protected Brady from basically 5 to 13. They let him go for nothing. It was a travesty. Like, literally, that was sad. In a way, I think he's a Hall of Fame talent. I don't think he has the resume. Vince Wilfork. Since we're having a bias on positions, was he a nose guard or was he a D tackle? Because he played end too. Right? Bookend his career with Super Bowls. He bridged this gap of great defensive linemen that they had. He was an all-pro. 5 Pro Bowls. Here's where I'm a no on. Teddy Bruschi. Great player, not a Hall of Famer.
I mean, if he's not in, McGinnis isn't in.
McGinnis had more accolades.
Yeah, but Teddy Bruschi was at least an all-pro guy.
Pro Bowler once, that's it.
I think he was 2-time second-team All-Pro, Teddy Bruschi.
1 Pro Bowl, twice being named a second-team All-Pro.
McGinnis never even had that.
What did McGinnis have? Did he never have that?
Never had that.
But he's got the most sacks in postseason history.
So then, that's where it gets convoluted.
This is why I think the Edelman conversation's convoluted. Well, not a Hall of Famer body of work. Playoff numbers? Holy smokes.
Well, Welker, much better than Edelman, if we're just talking about a wide receiver.
Edelman did more with his career with the Patriots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amendola.
Wes Welker.
Wes Welker did more with the Patriots than Edelman did his whole entire career.
Yeah, Wes Welker was a 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 3-time receiving leader. Edelman was never an All-Pro. Never. I don't even think he was ever considered near that level.
All right, so no Bruschi, no McGinnis.
I would say no.
Mike Vrabel?
No.
Out, right? Matt Light?
I would say no.
Irving Fryer? Aqib Talib?
See, he's not a Patriot, though, to me.
I'm just throwing out names. Devin McCourty?
No.
Steven Gostkowski?
No.
Okay. That's all I got. Am I missing anybody that could potentially be a Hall of Famer?
No, I mean, you have the locks of, Vinatieri, Belichick, Brady, Gronk, Kraft. The Corey Dillon one, I think Corey and Rodney, I don't look at them as a Patriots bias. I think it's self-inflicted wounds. I think these are guys that have questionable things that it's going to take them longer to get in if they're going to get in. Rodney was, popped for steroids. He's the most fined player in NFL history. Is Rodney Harrison a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. But it's going to take some time.
All right. Well, hear from you guys. 617-779-0985. If I missed one, please let me know. Ethan is in Shrewsbury. Hey, Ethan.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Yo.
So I understand where you're coming from with the Adam Vinatieri take, and I'm with you to a certain extent. But the way you're feeling right now, and I totally hate this guy with all my heart, I felt about Eli Manning not being a first ballot Hall of Fame. I think that's insane. If you take away Eli Manning from NFL history, the Patriots go undefeated, and they have 8 Super Bowl wins if Eli Manning is not in the picture. And just one more thing about the Adam Vinatieri thing. I don't know if you heard today on the afternoon show with Zolak and Bertrand, but they had Boomer on, and they were saying that the reason why it might take Adam Vinatieri so long is because they had like this best punter of all time. It took him like 15 to 20 years to get in the Hall of Fame. I forget his name. I don't know if you know anything about that or not.
I didn't hear it, so I can't comment on it. We have to think about this. You have to think about if Adam Vinatieri should be in the Hall of Fame or not. What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? I had to look it up, but Gino Cappelletti not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's a guy that should be in, 100%.
And I believe the only way he could get in is Veterans Committee, right? Like that's 5-time AFL All-Star and MVP. All-time leading scorer at one point, 1,130 points. AFL, all-time leading. Yeah. Wow.
He is tied with Don Hudson and Gostowski for most seasons leading the league in points scored with 5. Wow. He led the league in points scored 5 times.
Wow.
I'd say that's a Hall of Famer. But Gostowski did it as well.
Who made it in this year over Kraft?
Oh, yeah, the guy.
Because, if we really want to have this conversation right now, Gino Cappelletti should be in over Kraft. That was me.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry, Demo. Call back. I that was me. No, for real. Kraft's trying to get into the Hall of Fame before Gino.
I'd put Gino in first.
No, for real. I would too. Let's talk to Jason. He's in Derry.
Joe, who'd you say on the Pats should be in the Hall of Fame? You think Matt Light should be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I didn't say that.
Did you say Bruce Armstrong is maybe the best left tackle ever, or best Patriots left tackle?
Yes, yep, that's what you heard. I said best Patriots left tackle.
Do you think Bruce Armstrong should be in the Hall of Fame?
I think he's on the list. That's what I made. I made a list. So
I think Wilfork you can make a case.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Welker, but William McGinnis does not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is a radio show, and what we do is we have a discussion. So we throw out names, and we say, is this guy in or not? Because I'm trying to make.
Well, I just wanted to check. I like you, Joe. I just wanted to check your homerism. I thought you were getting a little carried away there.
You think I'm a homer?
I mean, I think it's fact. I don't even have to think about it. I think it's etched in stone.
That's how I work. I work in fact, not homerism. The
only. Let's do this again. Who do you think? In
case you weren't listening, I said the locks for the Hall of Fame should be Vinatieri, Belichick, Brady, Gronk, and Kraft. I think Rodney Harrison should be a Hall of Famer. I think Corey Dillon's is debatable. I think Ben Coates is absolutely debatable.
Dude, Ben Coates was so nasty.
Yeah.
Dude, he was like
Were you
Gronk
listening at
Gronk.
all, or did you just call in just because you thought you heard I said something?
Well, what did you say about Bruce Armstrong exactly?
I said he was probably the best left tackle in Patriots history.
In Patriots history, I thought it was NFL history, and then you weren't really thinking that Matt Light and William McGinnis should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, right?
No, my point is this. In baseball, right? The Cincinnati Reds, they had all these great players, right? Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench. Well, they let, certain guys in because they were part of the big red machine. So I'm trying to make the case is someday could these guys make the Hall of Fame? Eric Allen was just on a ballot for 19 years.
Well, Eric Allen is, I guess he's 9th all time, but I can't believe that guy made it in the Hall of Fame. But he did have 6.
Eric Allen or Ty Law, they have the same amount of interceptions. So we're just going to just throw him in because of the interceptions? Ty Law took away half a field and won championships.
Right, that was a stat thing with him. I couldn't believe he got in, honestly. Eric Allen, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I do think that Irving Fryer, it's hard because of wide receivers, but I think that long term, he might have a case. I think Bruce Armstrong might have a case.
Well, linemen get the shaft in general,
Yeah, and I think Logan Mankins might be able to have a case.
Right. They just don't take linemen like that.
Vince
It's not sexy
Wilfork,
position.
the point of the segment was, is there a bias for why some Patriots aren't in now? And could it be a bias in the future?
And this is obviously related to Vinatieri. I think in general, like kickers, like they're below the rest of the players on the team.
What
That's how they're treated.
what about if they're the all-time scoring leader? Like the most points ever. Do you think that guy should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I mean, probably, right?
Yeah, that's Adam Vinatieri.
But I mean, then I would throw it back. Do you think the guy 9th all-time in interceptions would be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I said no. But I think Ty Law should be because he's won multiple championships and went to multiple Super Bowls.
Dude, those teams were nasty. Laurie Malloy and Ty Law, I love that secondary.
I know. Thank you, Jason. All right. Well, anyways, if you want to call about that, you can. That was supposed to be an exercise. Yes. Okay. Skaz, coming up. Who's the best left tackle in Patriots history? Who is? Seriously, who is?
Nate Solder? No,
I like Matt Light better.
I'm kidding.
No, for real. Solder's up there.
No, he was a very good player.
It's Bruce Armstrong.
Yeah. Bruce Armstrong.
Bruce Armstrong and Matt Light.
Yeah. But Bruce Armstrong before my time, but I know he's considered one of the best.
He played, for not the. He protected Bledsoe early on in his career and should get credit for that. Was a Pro Bowler constantly, right? I mean, would lock down Bruce Smith at times. I just, again, it's not sexy, right? But if we're just talking about, like, if you did an all Patriots team, is that what we need now? Should we just make it now that it was just Gronk and it was Brady and Belichick and just leave it at that? Because I don't know. The dominance I saw from Wes Welker, I can't think of another player who's done it. The amount of volume that he put in, it's insane. I dropped this guy, so I'm going to put it back. Demo, what's up, buddy? Demo.
Oh, how's it going, guys? Hey, Joe, I meant to ask you, I got a statement, I got a question for you. So the statement is about Adam Vinatieri. I think you're 100% right, especially considering how bad the kickers were that were magnified in the playoffs recently, especially in the NFC and AFC championship games that were atrocious, considering how steady Adam Vinatieri was. Not to mention his overall stats. I think he's probably the best kicker of all time. And I have a hypothetical question for you. If the Pats had won in 2007, let's just say they had won, and they'd have 7 Super Bowls right now, do you think that would easily have cemented Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame and made it not even arguable that he was the greatest coach in the history of the NFL? And thanks. I'll hang up and let you answer.
Yeah, the hypothetical of the 2007 is interesting. So Belichick would have been in the Hall of Fame without that season.
What are we doing? The hypothetical is interesting that Belichick was not going to get in the Hall of Fame now because they didn't have the perfect season.
Well, it could be a bias against him now. I think
there's no bias against Bill Belichick. He will be first ballot, no doubt about it.
We think that.
No, Joe, I know that.
We thought that about Vinatieri.
No, I did not think that about Vinatieri.
Just doing the exercise.
Bill Belichick is first ballot without a doubt. What are we doing here?
He should be, right?
No, he will be, Joe.
He better be.
No, he is. I'm not.
At this point, though, this is why I'm playing it up, Skaz. Is there a bias?
Yeah, I don't know if Brady's going to get in, Joe, because that last season in Tampa, they didn't win anything.
He's the only one to beat Mahomes, but, I don't know, man.
What are we doing?
That was fun. Hypothetical about 2007, though. My hypothetical is they could have won 3 in a row.
Well, if you want to do the real hypothetical, it's that Eli's not getting in. Obviously, if they don't win that game, he doesn't have a prayer.
I saw this last night. I'm very pro Eli for those that. Well, if you take away his 2 Super Bowls, guys, there's been 59 Super Bowls and he has 2 of them. Okay, can we just stop? Like I mentioned this, Jimmy Butler's won nothing, but everyone was afraid of Jimmy Butler, right? The guy won nothing. He won nothing. The guy who the Celtics lost to in the finals was Steph Curry. That means something. See, I think it means something. This is what I mean about the Chiefs. If they win, it helps the Patriots. Like the Celtics losing in the finals, when you find out that you lost to Steph Curry, it changes things, right? But Jimmy,
I would much rather lose to Steph Curry than Nick Foles and Doug Peterson.
Thank you.
Or Craig Berube and Ryan O'Reilly.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with it. It's just that's the difference. And you know what? Not for nothing, but Coughlin and Manning were good together. Like, if we're going to do that, like, Coughlin and Manning were good.
Strahan's got to be a Hall of Famer, right?
I think he already is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Hall of Famers. Yeah.
But on that team, though, like, it was slim pickings. But of that Giants run, like, it was Eli, man. Yeah, Strahan helped him win and walked away. But to me, it was Eli. But Joe, Eli, a regular season, he's only 500 for his career. But you know what, dude? In the biggest game of his life, against the team that was the greatest of all time, he threw the slant and go. He threw it. Yeah, Plaxico Burress caught it, but someone had to throw it. You know the David Tyree play that everyone always talks about? Who threw that pass, guess? Who's the one who threw that?
That would be Eli. How about that Mario Manningham pass?
That was Eli, too.
To me, that might have been his best one.
Yeah, Eli. So the guy mentioned homerism, and it really, Skaz, it's something that like green teamer bothers me. I'm not a green teamer.
Joe, I'm going to go on a limb and say that guy had no idea what we were actually talking about before he called in, judging by his call.
We got to get the kids on this. When the listeners aren't listening, it's a real thing.
It's an infectious disease that's out there right now.
Real thing. That's why I said, hey, man, were you, like, listening? Because he goes, you just say that. And I'm like, dude, I didn't say that. So it is interesting what people want to hear. All right, we'll do more of this. The Celtics lost last night, but I don't really care about it. But I did notice something last night. We'll tell you what that is and what's going on with all those rings with Bill Belichick. We'll get into that. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
quick, smelly.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Ball in the hands of Kyrie Irving, who will hear the boos and have his nearly 4-year run of not winning a game in Boston come to an end. He's lost 15 of 16 to the Celtics at 8 straight here. Dallas will take the shot clock violation. Another disappointing night for the Celtics at home after a very successful road trip. They are run off the floor by the Dallas Mavericks. The final score, Dallas 127. Boston.
Conversation if you want to get back into it, but just wanted to touch on the Celtics. They lost last night to Dallas, rematch of the NBA Finals. Celtics weren't ready to go. They played down to their opponent once again. But the trend that I'm seeing is when they come back from a road trip, they lose that first home game. This could have been a look-ahead spot. New York is on deck. But my takeaway from last night is the Stay Ready group, the bench guys, they finished the game on a 30-10 run. Mazzulla needs to do that more. When the players don't have it or they literally play like they don't care, like they have a few times, just go to the bench. They play harder. It's better to watch, and it's just more competitive. So I know that they challenged the team the other night against the 76ers, and they came back down from 26, and then they beat the Cavs. So you thought maybe something could be clicking, and then last night happened. So I don't look at it as it was the Mavericks or they did anything special. The Celtics thought they could roll the balls out there. They didn't, and when they actually went to their bench, they made up 20 points in the final 3 minutes of the game. So to me, that is the big takeaway. They also added a piece to their roster. Torrey Craig, 34 years old. He's only played 9 games this year, averaged just about 7 points a game, shot 43% from 3. Was drafted by Denver. He's played for Milwaukee, Phoenix, Indiana. He's 6'7", good size. He can knock down threes. Good defender. Brings experience in the postseason. Played 75 games in his career. He was the Suns' 8th man just a couple of years ago. Averaged about 12 minutes in the playoffs on their way to the finals. May not play significant minutes, but when they play like they did last night, he's a guy that can help out. And I just wanted to bring up Sam Hauser has just absolutely been struggling defensively. He has a bad back. He's been trying to fight through it all year. His stroke has been getting better, but he just can't defend right now. And I think that Craig could really help out. Unlike, the Jordan Walsh's, Baylor Shireman's, or even Drew Peterson for that matter. So I think it's a solid depth piece. He can fit in when they need it. He can play 3 and D. But last night, the Mavs combined for 8 for 11 on the floor when guarded by Sam Hauser last night. Like they're picking on him. He's struggling. He wasn't a great defender. Not saying he's bad. But now with the bad back, teams are finding him. He's giving up baskets. But everybody did last night. Porzingis was 5 or 10. Jaylen Brown 7 of 15. White was 8 of 14. So but I think he can help there. I really do. 617-779-0985. Let's talk to Justin. He's in Lynn. Justin.
Hey, Joe, it's Justin. Yo. I just wanted to tell you, I think the Patriots should have had Adam Vinatieri in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know why he's not. And I think the Chiefs are going to win this weekend.
You got the Chiefs?
Yes, I do.
Over or under? What's the final score?
24-21.
You heard it there. Justin from Lynn, 24-21. That would be under the total. Mike from Warwick. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Joe. Just want to talk about Adam Vinatieri. Yeah, he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame because he was so clutch. But he's not going to get in on all-time points scored. I just looked up the top 25 all-time point scorers. All 25 are kickers, if you can believe that. I knew there would be a bunch of them. I didn't think it'd be 25 for 25. So maybe they should have another category for kickers for clutch or whatever they want to do because he was about as clutch as you can get.
Yeah, I just don't know what you could take away from Vinatieri. And he played indoors, and it helped his career. Tim's in East Boston. Tim.
Hey, what's happening?
Yo.
Hey, so I just want to comment on Eli Manning. So last night when the news broke with the Hall of Famers entering the class, a lot of people said, "Oh, Eli didn't get in." I just wanted to check his numbers, and I'm not a homer. I'm originally from Detroit. I obviously live in Eastie now, but Eli's not a Hall of Famer. We can't base a guy off two good Super Bowl performances. If you look at his numbers,
dude, he
led the league.
He beat you.
He led the league in interceptions multiple times.
He's a Hall of Famer, bro. Just admit it.
No, he's
bro,
not.
I know
Look at his body of work. He's not a Hall of Famer.
I know you're a homer.
You're speaking that as a Boston guy because he broke up your perfect season.
Okay, you're from Eastie. That's
why
you're from Eastie.
No, I'm from Detroit. I live in East Boston. So that's why I'm speaking from.
Okay, so you're just like a guy from Detroit who Detroit never won, but you're taking away from the guy.
So we're gonna go there.
Well, you never won. So this guy won too.
Eli's great. Yeah. No, but I'm speaking as a guy who knows football. Bro.
Oh, so I know.
I'm not speaking just because I'm upset because my perfect season went down the drain.
We can get the chalkboard.
Look at his numbers, man.
Go ahead. What we'll do is we'll go to Santarpio's, right? And we'll get a chalkboard. And we'll do Tim and Easton from Detroit. And we'll go Super Bowls, right? And I'll go 2 here. You 0. And I just, which one is better? You know, remember Big Daddy? You know, when they tried to teach the kid, right? And the kid's like trying to get it, and all of a sudden they show Rob Schneider, and he's like, all right, you know, hip hop. He couldn't say hippopotamus. Like, that's what it would be like. Because you're wrong. I know football. Dude. Guy calling in on the radio. I know football, dude. Here's the deal. Why do we take away from winners? Why do we take away? Oh, the bubble championship doesn't count. Yeah, well, the Celtics lost and didn't make it to the finals. They could have made it there. So it wouldn't have counted? Remember, didn't we hear that somewhere last year that the Celtics, their path was so easy that if they win, it shouldn't count? So what, it doesn't count now? Why are we taking things away? That bothers me.
You think that guy thinks Brett Favre's a Hall of Famer?
Oh yeah.
Threw quite a few interceptions, didn't he?
Went to 2 Super Bowls. How many? Oh, is he the all-time leader? Who's the all-time leader?
That would be Brett Favre with 336 interceptions, Joe.
You know, in baseball, the guy with the most wins has the most losses, too. Do you know what they call him? His name is?
That would be Cy Young, Joe.
Yeah. When you drop the I know football on me, bro, you're never going to win that argument. And I'm not even the know-it-all. But I don't know. 2's better than none, right? I don't know. Do I need to know football to know that? It's insulting when you do that to somebody. Okay? This hour of the Sports Up has been brought to you by our friends, and they are our friends. And I keep losing my paper because no one's here in studio, and they used to pass it to me, but because everybody's in New Orleans now. Brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com. You can save 15% off your next drive to oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Now open in, well, it's only for busy people.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
No Celtics tonight. They're off until tomorrow. They take on New York. No Drew Holiday in that game. The Bruins are back in action tomorrow. They take on Vegas. I heard people don't like Bruce Cassidy. Much thanks. Headlines are brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clog drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update soon.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score to the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports.
All 8 of his Super Bowl rings last night on display. You know, clearly showing what the NFL teams have been missing, right? Did you think he was flexing last night, guys?
While he was flexing, I was cringing, Joe. You don't think that's you didn't cringe at any of those pictures or any of the videos that came out from last night?
Listen, the girl's hot. Like, there's no doubt about it. He is with a 24-year-old girl. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. So yes, is it cringy? Yep.
Creepy,
cringy. Like,
hey, they're adults. They can do what they want.
Yes,
but
in my brain, though,
doesn't mean I don't think it's weird.
In my brain, I can't think that that's love.
Oh, you don't think they're madly in love, Joe?
You know what, though? Who knows what love is? I don't even know anymore. Right? Next week, a week from today is Valentine's Day. Yeah, those two cats, let me tell you. But they were flaunting rings. You notice that?
Certainly flaunting.
Oh, there's a lot of flaunting going on. That's for sure. She was wearing a ring. Did you see that ring?
Yeah, Joe. Shout out the alma mater. Go Bears. Bridgewater State University national championship ring there. You know, me and Jeremy Conley, proud alums.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's good press or bad press.
The Bridgewater Bears, right?
Yeah, the Bridgewater Bears.
I mean, I don't know. She's a pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, but she's known as the girl that Tom Brady or that Bill Belichick's dating. You know, not this super gymnastic, whatever she is, cheerleader. I don't know. No, I don't care to know really either. But you didn't think he was flexing last night, huh? Like, I don't know. Why was he even there?
No, I think he was absolutely flexing. It wasn't coming across, I think, as he wanted it to. At least for me, anyways.
Why was he there?
Because he's Bill Belichick, Joe, and he wants you to think that he doesn't care about this stuff and you know, whatever, I'm Bill, I'm going to go coach in college, but he cares deeply. That's why he's there. He cares about, you know, the record. He cares about his legacy, all that stuff. That's why he was there, to show off, to flaunt.
I was wondering why he was there, you know? Was he winning an award? Was he even in the league? I mean, wasn't it about a league by year thing? Was he just like there to schmooze?
Maybe he was there for Adam. Oh. And maybe, you know, things went awry, but maybe he planned on being there.
Lonnie Paxton was here for Adam.
And he planned on being down there for Adam.
Yeah.
You know, New Orleans, a place Belichick's had some hiccups in the past, I believe. You know, we never really got into that one, but interesting to see him back down there parading around the streets again.
Oh, how many rings combined? Is that what you just asked?
No, Joe. I was saying New Orleans, a place Belichick's.
Oh yeah.
Little pictures came out in the past of Belichick down in New Orleans that arose some questions. So good to see him back down there.
It was funny, that roast. Everyone knew about it. It just wasn't public yet. Like Gronk let one slip about a young gal, but none of us got it. Now I do. If you go back and watch that thing. Bill was flexing last night. Back to the Eli conversation. This is like a real great conversation. So everyone knows John Wallach. We all love John Wallach. He has texted me, and he says, I am a homer. Starts it off with, I'm a homer. Eli is not a Hall of Famer. Other than the 2 championship runs, he's beyond mediocre. That's what Gerard Mayo used to say during the season this year. He's like, outside of giving up 24 second-half points, I thought the game was pretty good.
The only thing...
So that's what I mean. So then he goes on to say real quick, because I know you got something for him. He goes, so using your logic... Oh, I said, hey, you're taking it away from him. He goes, using your logic, Nick Foles and Brad Johnson should be in too. Don't want to take away their accomplishments, right?
Well,
so carry on.
Yes. So this is where I push back. Eli Manning isn't just a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and I do think there's a distinction there. The only players in the history of the NFL with multiple Super Bowl MVPs are Montana, Brady, Bradshaw, Bart Starr, Patrick Mahomes, and Eli Manning. So, yes.
So only 3 of them are not in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Brady, Mahomes,
and Eli. But, yes, they're all going. And so, for me, yes, was Eli mediocre most of the time? Sure. But on the biggest stage against the best team in history, that's what Patriots fans wanted them to be, what they were supposed to be. Eli Manning won the Super Bowl and was the Super Bowl MVP. So I think if you have 2 Super Bowl MVPs, it's hard for me to keep you out of the Hall of Fame. 2 Super Bowl championships, different conversation. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, I think that is a different level to me. And you could say, well, they only scored 17 points and 21 points. That's how many points they needed.
Their defense, however you want to say it, held the Patriots to 14 points. That's not Eli. Eli scored more, right? Eli helped score more points. That's a fact. Why can't anybody here admit that Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer? Well, Eli's career, he really was just a 500 quarterback. You know what I would like? Are there any other quarterbacks that have won 2 that aren't in the Hall of Fame? I'm actually kind of curious about that. Well, Ben Roethlisberger's not yet, right? You think he's a Hall of Famer, Skaz?
Yes, Roethlisberger's a Hall of Famer. Your list of quarterbacks with, I don't know if someone named Earl Morrall is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay,
He's got 3 Super Bowls, but your list of guys with 2 would be Bart Starr, Zeke Bratkowski, Roger Staubach, Bob Greasy, David Humm, Jim Plunkett, Jeff Rutledge.
So I think Plunkett might be someone on that list.
John Elway,
Jim Plunkett,
Steve Young, Roethlisberger, Peyton, Eli.
Jim Plunkett.
And some of these guys didn't play, like Zeke Bratkowski and David Humm didn't play in the games.
Yeah, I for some reason I feel like Plunkett's not in the Hall of Fame for some reason. I'll have to look this up. Has not yet been inducted to the Hall of Fame. So is that what people want to say, is that maybe the Plunkett-Manning debate there? I mean, he had a lot of personal challenges. I know that. He was traded.
Just for Eli's argument, Joe, Jim Plunkett, 1-time Super Bowl MVP.
Oh.
Just saying.
Plunkett won the Heisman as well. Eli didn't win the Heisman. No. Either did. I'm trying to think about this now. Plunkett retired in 1987. And didn't have a really long career. I got to think more on that one. Tim's in Plymouth. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Joe. Joe, I love you, but you're definitely wrong about Eli being in the Hall of Fame.
He should just never get into the Hall of Fame, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying he should never, but the problem is, right, you have players you're being biased towards the quarterback. You have players on that team that...
No, I have no bias. I want you to know this. My story, the conversation that I have done all day is there a bias against the Patriots? And here I am, the Patriots' biggest nemesis, saying he should be in the Hall of Fame.
That's not
a bias. That's not a bias, bro. That's a
no. But I'm saying you're being biased towards the quarterback because there's players on that team that have 2 Super Bowls, like wide receivers on that team that were very good.
One player on that run went to this. We just talked about this. No one's listening. Michael Strahan's the only player that went to the Hall of Fame.
I know, but I'm saying Victor Cruz, who was
not a
very good player.
Does Victor Cruz have 2 Super Bowl MVPs?
But obviously, there's a bias in the Super Bowl that if you win the Super Bowl, the quarterback usually gets
bias,
the MVP.
You're talking to the wrong guys. We don't have bias.
No, I'm trying to explain that.
Bias is not letting Adam Vinatieri in because he's a kicker, or not letting Vince Wilfork in because he's a nose guard.
Is he one of the best players in his generation? Would you say that?
I would have to really look into it. But how many guys had 2 Super Bowls besides his brother?
You know he's not. You know he's not the best player.
Dude, here's the deal. I can literally go to sleep at night and say that Eli Manning beat the greatest team of all time in a clutch moment.
I totally agree.
Right? So he doesn't get an award for it. No?
They scored 17 points in that game. It's not like
and how many did the Patriots score?
I'm not
the greatest offense of all. Why? Here.
Okay, so the
real quick. Why not Eli Manning?
Offense.
Why not Eli Manning then? Please, I want to hear that.
Because he literally has average stats for a quarterback. He was the 6th seed both times he won the Super Bowl. It wasn't like he was like that.
Doesn't that make it better that he won? So it doesn't make it better that he actually won as a 6th seed? I hate that. That's a bad take.
No, because it's not like he was like the most dominant player.
That's
he's
good.
Not a dominant player. He's not a dominant player that made his team.
Literally.
How many times was the Giants the number 1 seed when Eli was the quarterback?
So you're discrediting him for doing it as a 6th seed, which is harder to do?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying how many times has Eli been the number 1 seed?
What is the hate of Eli? What is it?
Does a number 1 seed get you into the Hall of Fame?
I don't get that.
No, I'm not saying that. But like you look at like Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, for instance, like they're
the greatest quarterbacks of all time. They're the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yes, the greatest quarterbacks in their generation. So they should be in the Hall of Fame.
All right. So Peyton Manning, how many Super Bowls does he have?
Yes,
how many?
I get that, but that
answer the question.
But that.
Please?
Yes, 2. But
how many does Eli have?
The problem is,
how many does Eli have?
2. Yeah.
Let's cross sports for a second. Is it okay to cross sports or no?
Yeah.
Well, looking back, do you think Kawhi Leonard's a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. So are you going to compare Kawhi Leonard with Steph Curry and LeBron James?
Yeah, I would say Kawhi Leonard is right up with them.
Okay. You know that he's played on poor teams besides the Spurs and really hasn't done anything over the last couple of years. I'm just trying to mention that.
I would agree with that, but
it's just we can't take things away that people did well and then say that everything else sucked. You get what I mean?
I understand that, but the only problem I have with it is like you have players that are like top 5 in stats, like Chad Ochocinco or like other players like that aren't in the Hall of Fame just because they don't win and the media didn't like them.
I don't think Chad Ochocinco, to me, I think there are better wide receivers that should be in. I think Eli should be in over him. Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, Ochocinco had a chance to play against Eli Manning and lost, right? You know that happened, right?
But
do you think if you're the leading passer in New York Giants history, touchdowns, completions, all that stuff with 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs,
and you can totally like say that, but he played for longevity in the NFL is like way longer right now, obviously, than it was back in the day. And most quarterbacks nowadays are going to break records.
But do they also have 2 Super Bowl MVPs? You're switching your argument here.
No, I'm not.
Can I give you another one? Do you think Joe?
I'm done. I'm done with that guy.
Do you think Joe Namath was a Hall of Famer?
No.
Joe Namath has 1.
Yeah, and look at his touchdown to interception ratio.
Do you know what his career record was? 62, 63, and tied 4 times.
And I think he threw the same number of touchdowns as he did interceptions.
220 interceptions, 173 touchdowns.
So much worse than Eli.
Eli 366. Should we do we just need to keep it to that? Touchdowns? What? I can't believe I work on a Boston sports radio
Eli
station.
Manning broke Patriots fans' brains, I think. This is what it is. Very sensitive.
I'm literally here. The guy, there's 2 guys that are made, in my opinion. Mariano Rivera and Eli Manning. Now, who had the better body of work of athletes? Mariano Rivera. But do you think when those 2 sit down, they talk like that? No, they talk about the championships that they won. That's what matters. The championships matter. We live in a town. You know what? Does Kyle? Do you think Kyle's going to take on this?
He's going to have to now.
Do it. Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll talk to Kyle Irving of Underdog next here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on. Solak and Bertrand get you through the midday. Joe Murray gets you right through the night.
I actually spoke with women today.
On the Sports Hub.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub, I'm Joe Murray. Man, I didn't... Ooh, there we go. Well, you just changed things up on me there.
Yeah, we already used that one earlier. Had to give Kyle a proper introduction.
All right, well, let's go to the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline right now. We'll welcome in Kyle Irving, he of Underdog NBA. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, guys? Hey, last time I had to follow up Bill Nye the Science Guy talk. This time it's Eli Manning Super Bowl talk.
Dude, I don't know what it is, but so I got to ask you. So I was a Patriots season ticket holder. I work for the flagship, and I do post game for literally the New England Patriots. And I am saying that Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer. Yet every single person in Boston disagrees with me. So I ask you, Kyle, I don't care about the body of work. You win 2 Super Bowls, you win 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That gets you into the Hall of Fame. But there's a lot of people here who don't think so. What do you think?
No, I absolutely think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. I mean, you beat arguably the greatest football team of all time. And yes, the defense is incredible that he didn't have to do a whole lot, but you still play the most important position in sports, and you have to make enough plays to win a game. And whether that's the ball being pinned off David Tyree's head or Mario Manningham making a ridiculous catch on an overthrown ball on the sidelines, he still had to make those plays to win the game. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He also played, never really missed a game ever in his life. So, I mean, we're going to add that in there or whatever. God. Anyways, let's talk some hoops. What a wild trade deadline, huh, man? Obviously, the Luka stuff was the talk of the town, but was there anything else that you found pretty interesting? And, is there any team that you think maybe made some improvements that could go on a run?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can start with the Luka stuff, and nobody saw that coming. But I'm still kind of in the camp that I think it might make the Mavs better this individual season. Like right now, I think the Mavs are more constructed to be a roster that can make a run with Anthony Davis playing the 4 or 5. They have options at center. He'd prefer to play the 4. That's where, the position that he played when he won a championship with the Lakers in 2020. And, you just slide Kyrie Irving over to point guard, and they have plenty of, long athletic wings. Same guys that helped them make a run to the finals last year. I still think that's a team that right now, even without Luka, is better constructed to make a run post-trade. But obviously, when you're looking at the long term, the Lakers win that deal long term. Luka Doncic, 25 years old, superstar in his prime. They found a way to, find the successor to LeBron James in Los Angeles. It's going to be kind of a clunky fit at first, but they're 2, incredibly all-time great, talented playmakers. But, Luka still gives up a lot on the defensive end. That's still a team that, it doesn't have a lot of depth. 2023 Eastern Conference Finals, Gabe Vincent is not walking through that door. Mark Williams, no matter what you've heard, over the last couple of days, he's not the next version of Wilt Chamberlain. I think he's really good. I think he helped solve a lot of problems that they were going to have after moving Anthony Davis, but that's still a team that has depth issues, and it's going to take some time for them to figure out how Luka and LeBron can play off each other.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about who didn't get traded, too. These Kevin Durant reports, man, what are you hearing on that? Because, it just, to me, I never liked the fact he went and won with the Warriors, and then I almost defended it. He had to win. Now it's dude, do you really want to win? I don't know. I don't feel right about that thing.
Yeah, that was one where, when it got to the point that a lot of people thought that it was picking up enough steam to put it out there that he might be heading back to Golden State, the only thing I could have assumed is that Durant was signing off on a potential deal for him to go to Golden State. So then for, Shams and Windhorst and all those guys on ESPN the next day to say that Kevin Durant was completely blindsided by it and had no idea his name was popping up in trade rumors, it kind of just makes me think that, it makes that situation in Phoenix even more of a you-know-what than it already is. I mean, that's a team that is, destined for mediocrity. They're going to stay right around where they are, sitting around 500. They're probably not going to win a playoff series because they don't play enough defense to do so. And even though they have talented names on their roster, they kind of just tried to fit a bunch of misfit toys onto one team and hope that they have enough talent to prevail. But at the end of the day, as we've seen with the Celtics and other really good teams that have won championships in the past, you have to have guys that are willing to play individual roles, guys that are willing to get gritty on defense, only be out there to rebound and block shots, guys that are willing to stand in the corner and catch and shoot. And the Suns, that's a roster that just doesn't have enough talent to get over the hump. So, I'm kind of surprised that Durant didn't want to or didn't really give them the green light to move him to a different destination, whether that was Minnesota, a place that, supposedly had made a couple last-minute calls to try and acquire him. There was another report that maybe the Memphis Grizzlies were trying to get him, and that's a really good, young, talented team that could use a, 3-level all-time great scorer like KD. So, he's stuck in Phoenix, and I just don't see that team making much moves.
Yeah, Kyle, looking at the trade deadline from a Celtics perspective, the Eastern Conference, I think the two big moves, at least that we've talked about, have been Kuzma to the Bucks and DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs. I don't know if you think, one of those moves helps the other team more compete with the Celtics, but just looking at the Eastern Conference post-trade deadline, what do you think of the Bucks and what do you think of what the Cavs did?
I do think the Kuzma deal kind of got swept under the table, and I know that's a name that, a lot of people have different opinions on Kyle Kuzma, but he is a player that's won a championship before. A 6'9" wing who, he picks and chooses when he wants to play defense, but he is someone who can guard on the perimeter a little bit. But more importantly than anything else, he's someone that can put the ball on the floor and score. He gives them another playmaker. He can run in transition. He can shoot the three if you need him to stand in a corner and knock down shots. And, at this version of Chris Middleton's career, he wasn't giving them much of anything. They had moved him to a bench role. He hadn't played, I don't think he's played more than 25 minutes in a game all season as he's trying to work his way back from double ankle surgery. So that was a massive upgrade for the Bucks. They're still going to have their defensive shortcomings. Guards have been pouring on season highs on the Bucks all season long. But adding a player like Kuz does make them more of a threat in the East. I'm not necessarily sure that it, changes where they stand in the rankings in the East. I would still probably have them fourth behind, Boston, Cleveland, and New York. But it does give them a little bit more life on the wing there. And then as far as, the other deal goes, DeAndre Hunter is someone who the Cavs have been messing around with that starting small forward spot all year. They had Isaac Okoro, who can't shoot, but he can play defense. They have Dean Wade, who does a little bit of shooting, a little bit of defense, but not at a high level on, either of those ends. And then they had Max Strus, who's a shooter who doesn't play much defense. So going out and getting DeAndre Hunter kind of fixes all those problems. It puts all three of those players into one. He was averaging more points per game off the bench than any player in the league, more 20-point games off the bench than anyone in the league, 25-point games than anybody off the bench. He's someone who can knock down the three. He's a confident shooter. He's a solid defender. But still, the Cavs, to me, that's a really good regular season team. They remind me a lot of those 2010s Hawks teams that were really, really good in the regular season. They started 4 guys in the All-Star game at one point, but at the end of the day, they didn't have what it takes to get over the hump in the playoffs. And this year's Cavs team, even with the acquisition of DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline, to me is still very much the 2010 Hawks. Really unselfish, a lot of talented guys, but are they going to be able to get over the hump and beat Boston or beat New York? I really don't think so.
All right, Kyle Irving joining us here from Underdog. I know you cover. What are you doing with Underdog, man? I always look up their stuff for the day. I look for their who's going to be the. I like to do King of Chords stuff. I know it, but I always look at what Underdog's looking to do. What else are you doing for them? Are you just writing for them? What else you got going on there?
Yeah, so if you're a gambler, fantasy basketball player, or even just an NBA fan, go check us out over at underdog__NBA. We have up to the second updates on injuries and things like that, so who to bet higher or lower on, who to put in your fantasy lineups, things like that. But we're also expanding our coverage a little bit to, do highlights or pull cool stats. Try and keep you up to date with everything that's going on around the league. So it really has been just trying to summarize each night of the NBA and give everybody a little bit of mixture of, everyone loves the drama of the NBA. It's, the greatest reality show on television. We cover all the trades and everything like that, but also, give you a snapshot of maybe some under the radar players who are playing really well that, the mainstream media is not talking about, things like that. So it's most of the work's over on Twitter, but, a lot of back end stuff on the Underdog Fantasy app as well.
Yeah, Kyle, another question on the trade deadline. We focus a lot on the teams that made the big moves, the Lakers, obviously the Cavs. Me and Joe were talking the other night, a little surprised. I think me and you might have talked about this a little bit as well, but the Denver Nuggets and the Timberwolves basically doing nothing, and the Thunder kind of, not doing anything as well. Looking at the Luka trade and what ownerships are doing, shedding money. We get calls on, Celtics fans worried about new ownership and, Jaylen Brown's future and the first apron, the second apron. Do you think it's not a good sign for the league that a team that has, the best player in the world in Jokic isn't adding him around him at the deadline, or a team like Minnesota with Anthony Edwards isn't trying to maximize that window with that roster?
I think it's interesting because like there was a lot of talk first apron, second apron, and you know how hard it was going to be for teams to make moves. But then there was, I think, 53 players moved at the trade deadline, which was the most in NBA history. So it's like, you know, the people that are crunching the numbers and the salary cap and everything like that are still finding a way to get deals done. I think like for the Nuggets specifically, it was just a situation where they had started out the season really slow. Like guys were in and out of the lineup. They were trying to figure out a lineup that worked. You know, Aaron Gordon's extremely important to them, and he was someone who couldn't, you know, stay on the court with that calf injury, but he's been healthy as of late. Now, all of a sudden, the Nuggets have been one of the hottest teams in the league right around the trade deadline. So I think if they had continued to struggle, like, you know, early in the year, it was Michael Porter Jr. who was popping up in trade rumors for maybe, you know, a scorer like Zach LaVine, and there were, you know, Aaron Gordon popping up in trade, like different guys are popping up. But now all of a sudden they're playing really, really high-level basketball again, starting to show why they were a team that was considered the favorite to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals last year. And even though they fell short, I think that like because Jokic is playing at such a high level right now, and they're really starting to figure out the roster around him, they probably felt a little bit more comfortable to just stand pat and keep the roster they have and ride it out. Where like Minnesota to me is a team that I was pretty shocked that they didn't do anything, because that's a team that, you know, has really struggled since trading Karl Anthony Towns away this offseason. The Julius Randle fit hasn't really worked. He got hurt right before the deadline, which was poor timing for any team that might have been able to take on that contract. Anthony Edwards is playing some of the best basketball in the league since the calendar turned to 2025, and they're starting to look a little bit better. But, you know, that's a team to me that it's going to be really tough to get back to the stage they were on last year in the Western Conference Finals, just because the pieces don't seem to click. And then when you look at OKC, I think, you know, that's as simple as Chet Holmgren's coming back tonight. That's, you know, what they consider to be their trade deadline acquisition. But, you know, to me, Minnesota, out of anybody, is more so the team that I couldn't believe they decided to stand pat and let it ride out.
Kyle, are you worried about the Celtics at all? Like me, I just think that they're lazy, they're uninspired. This West Coast stuff when they play better on the road and then not at home. Like I still think they're the best roster. I'm trying not to worry about it. But do you? I still think.
I still think they're the favorite. Like I'm not all that worried about them. I mean, I watch them every night, and you know, get frustrated as anybody else does that they seem to be the worst team in the league against teams that are missing their best players. Like, you know, last night that game, if Anthony Davis plays his first game in a Mavs uniform, they probably come out fired up and win that game. But because he's on the sidelines in street clothes, you know, they get beat by everybody that's left on the roster after the Luka trade. So it's like, you know, they pick and choose when to show up. But every single time that I go to look at the metrics and go to look at, you know, their offensive and defensive rating, net rating, even just their overall record, like they're only 4 games behind the pace that they were on last year. And the entire season, they've still been top 5 in the league in offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating, even though it feels like the world is falling in Boston. So that's a team that, you know, they have the talent, they have the experience. I do think they're on cruise control a little bit. And every once in a while, they have games like the Cavs the other night where they show that when it's one of the best teams in the league, they're going to step up and play at that level. But if they're playing one of the worst teams in the league, they're going to, you know, kind of fall down to that level. So, you know, I think that we're going to see that they're going to flip a switch in the playoffs and they're going to be completely fine. But, you know, I think that it should be kind of, everybody needs to take a deep breath in terms of just like the night in and night out, how they kind of have been playing inconsistent all season.
All right, man. I think the story with the NBA is, you know, ownership. At some point, like I think you mentioned Minnesota, you were surprised. It's because they have a new owner with, you know, financial issues. You know, I'm curious about the Celtics. Like I think they know that this is it for their run. You know, we're probably going to see other teams now. Dallas, right? They got out of the Luka situation because of money. When does this become a bigger story? Like when do we now, like the ratings are down, right? People were complaining about 3-pointers, but I don't know, like there's a lot of things that could be making ratings go down, specifically when you trade your star player. Like I don't know, the last time I checked, it didn't work when, you know, Mookie Betts got traded for the like, you know, it just doesn't work for these teams. So I think Dallas goes back to, you know, to the island of irrelevancy, but I feel like it's going to be a league-wide thing soon when it comes to long-term contracts.
Yeah, I think it becomes a problem when you start to see, like, you know, kind of homegrown team. I mean, obviously Boston made a bunch of moves to bring in guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis. But, like, you know, when you look at the core of JB and JT, like, when you start to see teams that were kind of homegrown, like players that they had acquired through the draft, OKC is another really good example of this, where, you know, they had just acquired a bunch of draft picks, hit home runs on a bunch of guys in the draft, and now they have a really good team. And when you're going to start to see those types of teams get broken up and dispersed because owners aren't really willing to, front the bill on a luxury tax because of the second apron and all these things. Like, that's probably when it starts to become a problem. But as of right now, like, you look at the trade deadline and all the player movement and how much people have been talking about the NBA on Super Bowl week. Like, it's good for the even if it doesn't necessarily translate to the actual ratings of people watching games. I don't think people are ever really going to change the way they feel about an 82-game regular season and how every game doesn't necessarily matter. But, like, there's a lot of chatter around the NBA right now, and I think, like, the player movement is good to an extent. But once you start seeing homegrown teams that, acquire these players through the draft have to get split up because owners aren't willing to pay the money, then all of a sudden it might become an issue. And that's probably when, you see the NBA kind of take a step back and go, okay, do we need to rethink, how the CBA is working out?
All right, Kyle. No, the NBA needs to, I'm glad the deadline happened because it was interesting, but I think it does need a little bit of a spark. I'm not saying I have Celtics fatigue right now, but is there someone I like the Cavs? I know they got Hunter not phased. The Pacers I still worry about when it comes to the Celtics. Everybody else, no. Western Conference, I still don't believe in Oklahoma City, man. I don't know what. I know they're great, but just still don't think they can go. I don't know. Here I am being a doubter. What do you think of them?
I'm a big fan of OKC just because of the way that they do it. Like, they do it on the defensive end first. And teams like that are always going to find a way to defend and win playoff games and win playoff series because they play defense at such a high level. And I really do think that, like, even the casual fan does not realize just how good Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. Like, that guy just sleepwalks his way into 35 points a night, it feels like. And he's one of the most unguardable players in the NBA, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves because he has kind of an unassuming stature to him. He's not someone that's bombing threes like Steph, but, like, he really is someone who can score from all three levels of the floor and elevate that team to championship contender status. But the West is just such a gauntlet that, like, if they get matched up with Denver, that's a tough matchup for Chet Holmgren or even Hartenstein with Nikola Jokic. Or, like, you still have these gritty teams like the Rockets and the Grizzlies that you don't really know what to make of them, and they could knock off a top team in the playoffs too. So, like, I think, you're talking about how you need a little bit more juice from the NBA. Like, I think, like, the Western Conference playoffs to me is where everybody is going to be like, okay, I can't miss these games. I have to watch these games because it's going to be some awesome series. Now in the Eastern Conference, like, I'm with you. It's, it's still Boston head and shoulders above everybody else. To me, as good as Cleveland is, they still don't necessarily, I don't think they instill fear in the top teams. Like, even like New York, Indiana is a team that they've been up and down because Tyrese Halliburton's been up and down, but, they run and they play fast and they can find a way to catch you off your game. And I still think that, that Eastern Conference Finals last year was the closest you can get in a 4-game series sweep. Milwaukee, they have Giannis. They're always going to be in there. So, it feels like it's pretty open in the Western Conference. The East feels like, to me, that it's kind of Boston, New York, and Milwaukee in Cleveland as well as the teams that can make a run. But we're going to see some parity in the playoffs this year, and I'm excited to see all these moves kind of pan out.
All right, dude. Who you like in the Super Bowl?
Man, neither team. I'm rooting for Saquon Barkley, and that's it. Like, I don't want the Chiefs to win. I don't want the Eagles to win. This is like the haters' Super Bowl.
Wow, I don't feel that way, but that's interesting.
You don't? Who do you want to win?
It's not who I want to. If I was giving you my betting analysis, I think there's a lot of things that lean in Philly's direction. I just feel like sometimes you got to throw all that out the window and look at coaching. And I think in the end, Andy Reid's the best coach.
That's fair. Like, I feel like the Eagles have been playing the best football in the NFL for however many months now. But, I mean, the Chiefs have devil magic on their side. Like, they just find a way to get it done.
Chiefs are getting better. They've only been getting better. They've been getting everyone back every week. And they didn't even get Sky Moore back this week. I don't know if they need him, but this is the first time the Chiefs have been fully healthy all year.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think I'm rooting for the Eagles over the Chiefs, and I have to go wash my mouth out with soap now.
What happened? Everything good, man, with the LA fires, dude? I heard you had to get dispersed.
Yeah, everything's all good. Place ended up, I was able to avoid it and just kind of ship down to one of me and Skaz's buddy's place in San Diego for the weekend, just get away from it. But I appreciate you asking. Yeah, everything's all good, and things have kind of been back to normal, at least on my side.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, talk about, I grew up in Bridgewater, Mass, so I never thought I'd be dealing with wildfires in my life.
Did you notice Bill Belichick's girlfriend wearing the Bridgewater ring?
You know what? I actually saw that right before I hopped on here, and I chuckled to myself. I had no idea that she was a Bridgewater State girl.
Yep, wearing the old Bridgewater State ring.
Unbelievable. Bill Belichick, man. I mean, just 2 full hands of Super Bowl rings to the NFL awards show. Trying to make a statement, I would say.
He's definitely got his hands full, bro.
Yeah, you could say that.
All right, Kyle. Appreciate you joining us, man. Congrats on the new gig. I'm glad everything's working out with all the fires in L.A., and we'll have you on again soon, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Joe. As always, anytime you need me.
All right. It's Kyle Irving, everybody. Underdog. It was a great job over there. We got to get to the headlines. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, no Celtics. They're off tonight. They take on the New York Knicks tomorrow night, but they'll be without Drew Holiday. And then the Bruins play tomorrow. Manning takes.
It's a classic Joe Murray show.
Well, it's the last. You know what happened was Eli Manning. Listen, all I did was say last night that the fact that Eli Manning and Adam Vinatieri aren't in the Hall of Fame. If you want to tell me that Eli Manning's not a first ballot, fine. Fine.
Fine. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind.
All right. But what I'm saying is, if that's your debate, fine. I'll have the debate. But to just flat out say that he's not a Hall of Famer, I can't do it, Dan.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm only doing it because, I don't want to show bias.
I'm a longtime Eli Manning hater, and he's still a Hall of Famer. He beat you twice as an underdog in 2 Super Bowls, including the best team of all time, and has had how many touchdowns in his career? Is he the most talented quarterback of all time? No, he's not. But is he a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. I mean, he's better than half the guys who get in.
All right, then. Well, Matt is... Oh, I just hung up on him. How about Justin in Attleboro? Hey, Justin.
Hall of Famer, man. It sucks, but that's the reality of where we are. He's a Hall of Famer by today's standards. By the way...
Hey, sorry, can you go back to me in 2 minutes?
Me?
Yeah.
Call back in 2 minutes. How about that?
Okay.
Call back. That was funny. I know. So
you called us?
Is that a first?
That's I've never heard that before. That might be a
Wait,
first.
has that ever happened?
Never happened to me.
Can you hold on for 2 minutes?
Never happened to me. But again, the NFL Hall of Fame class this year is the worst class I've ever in my lifetime. There is not even a question of doubt. Sterling Sharp, not a Hall of Famer. Jared Allen, certainly not a Hall of Famer. Neither of those guys are Hall of Famers. They did not dominate the league. I mean, Jared Allen had arguably 4 good seasons. I know he was 4-team, All-Pro. Never Defensive Player of the Year. I know he got close one year. He had 22 sacks. I'll give him that year in Minnesota. He was an absolute beast. And yes, he had a really good year in Kansas City too. No doubt he led the league in tackles for loss and sacks that year, 100%. So I'd say 2 to 3 really, really good years for Jared Allen. That's not a Hall of Famer in my mind at all. The guy was not a dominant force, never a guy you had a game plan for ever. I mean, he had, again, one tremendous year in 2011. Sterling Sharp, not a Hall of Famer. I mean, again, Antonio Gates, if you're asking me, anyone with a brain, who's the better tight end, Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp?
Well,
it's not even close.
One was a wide receiver, but yes, Sterling, it's Shannon Sharp. You're thinking of?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Sterling Sharp. Excuse me.
No, the only pushback I have on Sterling Sharp is his career ended early.
Right, I'm aware of that, but regardless, he's not even close to a Hall of Famer again.
And he played with Brett Favre.
Antonio Gates is the best tight end in my opinion, outside of Rob Gronkowski, maybe Travis Kelce, and Shannon Sharp is in the Hall of Fame. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. So Shannon Sharp is in the Hall of Fame. Antonio Gates is not. Gates is maybe you could argue Tony Gonzalez if you want to, but Gates is a top 4 tight end of all time, maybe top 5 at absolute worst of all time. Sterling Sharp is not even a top 25 wide receiver of my lifetime. I mean, Torrey Holt is significantly better than Sterling Sharp, significantly.
Dude, we did this last night.
The Hall of Fame class is an absolute joke.
The Torrey Holt also had Isaac Bruce and Marshall Faulk literally eating while he had to get the scraps.
Yeah, I mean,
do you know what I'm saying?
Torrey Holt,
they all should be Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. That whole offense is a Hall of Fame offense, and that's the reality.
I agree though. Torrey Holt, who's not on the list. So okay, we're gonna be a little late. We're probably just gonna have to pass on in or out tonight, guys. So why don't we do in or out Hall of Fame edition with Dan Lifshatz right now? So here we go, Dan. You ready for these? Patriots Hall of Fame. Will they make the NFL Hall of Fame?
Okay.
In or out? Ready? Adam Vinatieri.
I think he will eventually. I'll say yes. He should have been easily first ballot in my opinion.
Belichick.
Yes, no doubt.
Tom Brady.
Yes, no doubt.
Rob Gronkowski.
Yes, no doubt.
In. Robert Kraft.
No. I don't. How about this? I'll prefix it.
Well, he can't make it because there's no ballot.
I don't think he'll make it. If he's
veterans,
I don't think he's going to make it until he passes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's my
in or out process. On Rodney Harrison.
There's a lot of bias in the media against Harrison, a lot of bias. I don't know if he'll ever make it.
He's the most fine player of all time.
I want to say yes. In my mind, yes.
He's the only safety to have the most interceptions and sacks.
Yeah, in my mind, the answer is yes. But but you're asking me if he'll make it. The answer is I don't think he will because I think there's such a big bias against him.
In or out on Corey Dillon?
No.
Do you know who just passed Corey Dillon?
Who?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I don't think Dylan is
But do you think Derrick Henry is?
Yes, but again, I think they played in very different eras of football. So arguing that what Derrick Henry did in this era of dominance with the wide receiver, the tight end, the passing game, and arguing about what Corey Dillon did in a primary running game is very different.
So Corey Dillon's 20th all time on the rushing list.
Yeah.
He just got passed. But do you know who's slightly in front of Corey Dillon? John Riggins.
Yeah,
So do you get what I mean by like Jerome Bettis is in the Hall of Famer, right? All these guys.
I personally don't think Jerome Bettis is a Hall of Famer.
Well, do you think Adrian Peterson will be?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
But do you see what I mean? Is like in or out Ben Coates?
Out. I do not think he's
Irving Fryer.
Out.
Bruce Armstrong.
Out. I mean, Armstrong's close because he was dominant for a very short period of time. Absolutely dominant. I can
the only Pro Bowler when they sucked.
Right. I can see the case for that. I don't know. If you're asking me, will he make it? I would say no.
Julian Edelman.
I don't think he will. I think he should. He's in my opinion, one of the best playoff performers of all time. Will he? Probably not.
Willie McGinnis.
Well, that's a good one.
All-time sack leader in the playoffs.
I'd say probably not. But again, that's it wouldn't shock me either way on McGinnis. I don't have a good enough grasp.
Wes Welker.
I mean, if you're putting in Sterling effing Sharp, Wes Welker better be a Hall of Famer. Yes, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Based upon the Sterling Sharp criteria, I would say yes.
Logan Mankins.
No.
Vince Wilfork.
I'll go no.
Teddy Bruschi.
I'll go no again.
Mike Vrabel.
No.
Matt Light.
No, definitely not.
Darrelle Revis.
Yes, easily.
Aqib Talib.
No.
Devin McCourty.
Again, another guy I think that will be considered, but might not have a big enough resume to ever win or get in. I would say no. Would I put him in? Potentially, but I'd say probably not.
Joe Tooney.
No.
Stephon Gilmore.
No.
Steven Gostkowski.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm not missing it.
If Vinatieri's not getting in, Gostowski's definitely not getting in. I mean, I think that's a pretty easy one.
I don't think we missed any, right?
Yeah, I mean, look again. This is just what I think. Who should get in? Do I think any of those guys deserve to be in? I'm a less is more type guy. Like Revis, in my opinion, is the best corner of our generation. Like I think it went Ty Law, and I think Darrelle Revis is the best corner. So I think if Revis doesn't get in, there's a problem. Vinatieri's the best kicker I've ever seen. He should absolutely be in. Like Rodney Harrison's one of the top 5 safeties I've ever seen. He should absolutely be in. So, yeah. And again, I understand my lifetime is only 33, almost 34 years. I get that. But nonetheless, it's about dominance in your era. I don't care. Longevity to me is overrated in the NFL. It's about dominance in your era. Did you dominate for 4, 5, 6, 7 years in your era? I don't need you to play 15, 20 years. Did you dominate while you played? And all those guys I think listed are dominant. I don't know if McGinnis I would conclude as a dominant. I don't know if Bruschi I would. Really, really good players. I'm just not sure they're quite dominant.
All right, this hour of the sports has been brought to you by Valvoline. It's an oil change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com to save 15% off your next draft through oil change. At Valvoline, it's an oil change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Joe Murray. Super Bowl talk with Dan Lifshatz. We'll do it next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on The Sports Hub. Boston. 98.5 The Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, no Celtics, no Bruins, no nothing, but they're all in action tomorrow. Celtics take on the Knicks. Bruins, they'll take on Vegas. And we're all waiting on the Super Bowl. Dan Lifshatz is here, and we're going to talk about the line that's been moving.
I was ready for you to completely screw my name up there.
I almost called you Lifshatz.
No, I thought you were calling me Lifshatz because that's
that one too.
That's what Zolak does to me. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's okay.
You see all those guys at Radio Row this week?
Sure, it's so next time I see you, I'll give you a nice.
No, they're all at Radio. They're all at like Pat O'Brien's drinking Hurricanes right now.
I'm in. Look, honestly, it's a great spot to be.
Would you want to be there right now?
I don't really want to fly right now with all the stuff going on in the air, but like in general, yes, I'd love to be there.
This hour of the sports are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Here we go.
Boom. I win.
Boom.
Yeah. It's a buddy.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got the Hall of Fame stuff over with. It's time to talk Super Bowl.
Sterling Sharp.
I started talking about next year's list, so.
No, it's not.
Larry Fitzgerald?
Yes.
And
we got plenty of time. Plenty of time to discuss that.
Okay, just trying to make sure.
Plenty of time. We got you got the whole summer to discuss that show. You got to fill time in the summer, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, the Super Bowl is here. It's been 2 weeks. So I've made an official pick, but I haven't made it official yet here on the show.
Okay. Let's get that taken care of.
Well, okay. Today there was some interesting betting line movement. When someone asked me last week, "Hey Joe, who do you like?" I said I want to wait till it gets closer to see if I can get the Chiefs at a pick'em or a little bit less.
Okay.
So ESPN Bet Sportsbook, which is now a presenting sponsor here on the Joe Show.
News to me.
Yeah.
ESPN Bet, please unlimit me. I'd love that. Please stop limiting me to $15 a bet. Thank you.
They moved it from -1 to a pick'em.
Okay.
Today. Have you looked anywhere else today? Where is it?
Yeah, I mean, right now Chris is -1, -103, money line -113. I'll take a look at like some of the other places, but like I know Bet 105 was like -105 earlier today, maybe -102. They're taking pretty big chunks of action right now. Like Chris right now is taking 100,000 a bet. So I mean that's pretty big right now. Kansas City -1 plus 102. They're taking 25,000 a bet and -107 on the money line. They're taking small peanuts compared to the spread, but nonetheless, you got the point. The bigger places, the places that are taking big action, are now moving towards Philly.
All right, so a lot of people that I know, that I respect, have already taken Philly.
You're here.
Okay, so you're on Philly.
I am. Yeah, I bet them.
What about so if we just stuck to the betting line?
Yeah.
What made you interested in the Eagles based off the line itself?
Yeah, I mean, forget about the line. I just think that when you're talking about a 1-2 point game, you're almost always, again, talking about, within a couple percentage points, because very rarely do games end 1 or 2. So you're talking about 4 or 5% of the time they land on 1 or 2. I think in the last 20 plus years, maybe it's a little bit higher than that, maybe 4 or 5%. But regardless, most of the time you're just taking the money line. I think Philly is the significantly, and I mean significantly better team. I don't think this is all that close. I made the line again significantly off market, which has happened all NFL season, not something new. But I think Philly is the significantly better team. And while I do think obviously there's a massive edge at quarterback and coach for Kansas City, maybe you can argue kicker from you too, because Elliott has really struggled recently. There is not a single other position on the field that I think Kansas City has an edge. Not offensive line, not defensive line, not in the secondary, not in the linebacking core, not at the wide receiver position, certainly not at the tight end position, not at the running back position. Where do they have an edge?
Coach.
Again, quarterback coach. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. Is it
Besides that,
2 point? It's quarterback coach. So if you believe and you want to go down fighting with the quarterback coach, I'm not going to sit here and try and talk you off it. I totally understand that argument, and totally understand that. Probably the third part of that is the referee situation. You're probably going to get that. I'll say this: the fact that the referees have gotten so much criticism publicly the last couple weeks, and it's going to be very much highlighted on a national stage. I think we're going to see maybe Philly actually get an edge in the reffing situation, which is crazy to think about. I know that, but it would not surprise me if that ended up being the case. But regardless, I think the defense is too good. I think what Fangio does, the Fangio system that he runs, again, Mahomes has struggled against Vic Fangio's system more than any other defensive coordinator. While he has a fantastic straight-up record against Fangio, 8-0, he has the worst statistical performances against Fangio in the entire NFL. So, it's just because Fangio had his offense score 20 points twice against Pat Mahomes. I think this is the most talented defense Mahomes has faced all year. Take a look at what Kansas City has done against these talented defenses. Really, outside of Houston, they've struggled pretty badly all year against anyone with any sort of talented defense. Buffalo is not included in that. I don't think Buffalo is a very good defense. You can think what you want. You're entitled to your opinion, but I would not have them in my top 8 probably. And then a big part of that, Joe, is just take a look at the third quarter. Go back and watch the third quarter of the AFC Championship game and tell me how you think that this Kansas City football team is going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley when they are getting absolutely, sliced and diced by James effing Cook and an offensive line that really has struggled to open up holes for the large majority of the season. I mean, that's a problem. You can't fix that. And if Spags runs his normal defensive style, and they don't load up the box and they're overly aggressive at times, that just bodes horribly for Kansas City against the run game. I do think it bodes well against the Jalen Hurts pass game. I think that they'll be able to generate pressure on Jalen Hurts. I do like the over sacks for Kansas City. So if you want something positive, I do think that they'll be able to generate pressure there. But I don't know how they stop the run game, honestly. Between the RPO game and then the run game, I think Kansas City's absolutely screwed. They don't have anyone to really generate and stop that run. And to me, that's just a major problem. They don't have the speed on the defensive line on the outside or in the middle in the linebacker position. And I don't see the edge for Kansas City outside of going down with Mahomes and Reed, which is again at this point a fair argument. But outside of that, there's just really not much of an edge for them.
So I think I agree with you on as far as the talent. I think the Eagles have it all. Probably the edge everywhere. There's some things where I am curious what the Chiefs can attack. The Eagles have one of the best red zone defenses. So if they have to settle for field goals, that could be an issue. I've been thinking about recency bias a lot. Like the recency bias, you just brought up the Chiefs had a struggling third quarter, right? But ended up pulling it out. They were down. They were down 1 point, came back and won.
Buffalo gave the ball to James Cook
twice,
zero times in the
well, they also
in the
fourth
quarter.
Downs they turned it over.
But Buffalo gave it to James Cook zero times.
Which is bad on Brady's part.
And the other big part of that, Joe, is they stopped Josh Allen on how many sneaks in the game?
3 at least that I can think.
3.
Of.
Okay. They're not stopping Philadelphia on that situation. You cannot stop. So that's talking about 3 conversions right there that you're already getting if you're Philly that you didn't get if you're Buffalo. It's just a massive differential.
Can I give you a recency bias take on the Eagles?
Absolutely.
They scored 55 points in the last game.
Sure.
Do you know how teams have played after scoring 45 or more in a championship game?
I do not. I'm sure it's probably not great.
So the 3 teams to do it were the Bills that went wide left, or was it wide right? I can't remember now. Scott Norwood,
yep.
Belichick, defensive coordinator, Giants.
Yep.
The Panthers scored 45 in 2015-16, and then got smoked by the Broncos.
Okay.
And then the Eagles.
So I'd argue that Panthers team faced a defensive team. That was not a Peyton Manning championship. That was a defensive team.
That was they mauled them. Von Miller, I think, was the MVP,
what were the
right?
other 2 examples? The Bills game again. They faced a defensive team in the Giants, and what was the other one?
Bills played the Giants. Panthers played the Broncos with Von Miller.
Okay, and those are the
and
two
then
examples.
it's the Eagles this year.
Okay, so the only
third team ever. So.
The only difference in that is that I think Philadelphia is consistently a better defensive team than offensive team. So
I just wanted to bring up the recency.
No, I get it. It's a fair point.
Like they scored 50 points. Do we just expect that to happen in this game?
No, in no way do I expect them to score 50 points here. But again, I don't expect Kansas City to put up 30. I don't expect that. I think that when you take a look at what Mahomes has done against the Fangio defense, he has struggled.
Yes, there's I was going to go there.
Yeah, the
0-8. Vic Fangio's 0-8.
Yes, but also has the best defensive stats against Mahomes. His offenses against Mahomes have scored 20 points just twice. In those 2 games, Mahomes beat them by 2 points each.
Oh.
I do not expect Philadelphia to score 20 points. If you think that this game is going to be 22-20, you should like Kansas City. Yeah, I agree in that 100%.
That. Of the 10 times, or the 8 times that Mahomes has struggled in his career, 2 of his lowest passing yard games were against Fangio defenses.
He is the worst. Fangio has had the most success as a defensive coordinator against Patrick Mahomes out of any coordinator head coach in the history against Patrick Mahomes. That includes Bill Belichick. That includes Bill Belichick. So and again, we think about Bill Belichick shutting down Patrick Mahomes for an entire half in that playoff game. This to me is just the outside the straight up record is not a fair signal to what Fangio has done against Patrick Mahomes. So to me, that is incredibly misleading. Like, here you go. Chiefs offense since 2019 against Fangio. Percentage of drives to reach the red zone versus 37% versus Fangio, 37% versus every other defense. Touchdown rate inside the red zone, 37% against Fangio, 62% against every other defense. Touchdown rate in goal-to-go situations, again, this is just Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. 38% against Fangio, 79% against every other defense. They have played basically a bend don't break versus Mahomes, and it has been successful since Mahomes has come into the league. They have been absolutely dominant against Kansas City. The problem is the offense has been anemic on the other side. I'm not going to hold Fangio to what his offenses have done. That's incredibly unfair. So while I do think that there is going to be some very good and valid, situations where they're going to come in. Mahomes struggles against the cover 6 and the quarters defense, and that is literally what Fangio runs most out of every team in the NFL. They ran the cover 6 and quarters more than any other team in the NFL this year. That is his number one defense that they struggle with, and most teams can't play that because they don't have the personnel. So it's a very different type of game for Mahomes. He has not faced a top 5 defensive team in the past 8 weeks. Now he's facing and what many people think is the number one defensive team in football. I think he's in trouble. And again, this is kind of why I like Baltimore, because I think if Baltimore beats Buffalo, I think they slaughter Kansas City. I don't think that game is even remotely close. So I think Baltimore was better than Philadelphia. I think that Philadelphia is still better than Kansas City, and I am going to take them. I understand everyone and their mother is going to love Kansas City. The entire public is on Kansas City. Everyone in their mother, 70% of the bet's going to be on Kansas City. It's going to happen. You have to just accept that and ride that and know if you're betting Kansas City, you're riding with every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's betting $100 on the game. That's where you are. And by the way, only one time in the past 15 years has Vegas lost on that. So you're 1-14 if you're on Kansas City. That one time,
Patriots.
Last year.
Oh, last year.
I
thought it was Patriots.
No.
Seattle.
No. Seattle got the large majority. It was pretty split. Like, but I'd say, again, when you're talking about 55-45, it's not a major split. But when it's been 60% or more in the past 15 years, I think it's again, there's only been one time that's happened. It was last year.
You brought up last year, which I found interesting. I want to hit on something on that. Dan's on the Eagles, everybody. And there's people in the chat that are Chief.
Oh, 100%. Everyone, I can't tell you. I've probably gotten, this is not an exaggeration, 25 texts asking me, can I get down for people on the Chiefs this week? Not a one on the Eagles. Not one.
All I see is everybody I know on the Eagles.
I don't know anyone on Philly.
I'm saying people who cap games.
No, I don't know. All I see is everyone on Kansas City. I don't know. I mean, outside of me and Chris, I don't know anyone on Philly.
Wow. I thought
all I know is everyone on Kansas City.
Wow. I haven't made an official pick yet, but it's really the intangibles here. It really, I think this is people that will think that this is the Eagles' year. I will say this. There's a couple of things about Philly. We'll get into this on the other side. We're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
You want to call in, talk about the Super Bowl. We're doing it here. He's Dan Lifshatz. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
Edler loved UConn, told me he was loaded to the gills on UConn today. I actually, the number got real low. I kind of liked St. John's at the close, but so far this has been a non.
It's been all UConn.
Yeah, 24-10 right now.
Last night I had Ohio State. They won on a 3 at the bank.
Yeah, I saw that. Right,
got lucky on that one.
Yeah, what you have 2?
2.
Yeah.
And they won by 3.
I ended up taking a few. I had Gonzaga minus 20. They lost. They won by Gonzaga minus 21. They won by 20, and then had Seattle minus 9.5. They won by $1 billion, and then San Diego minus 11.5. They won by $1 billion. So 2 in one night for me.
Slowly dabbling on the college. You might be in the thick of it right now.
I've been in the thick of it for a long time.
I'm spotting it. Like right now, I'm like, ooh, good game. This is a good game.
Oh, it's a very good game. I have a couple tomorrow that I absolutely am in love with. So I'll get those on the show.
They'll be live tomorrow, 7 a.m. Is Kendra back? I know
Kendra's flying in from Costa Rica tonight.
Oh,
She's
God.
an absolute lunatic.
She's gonna be like talking like
with her burned ass.
Oh, is that what happened? No, I have not.
Oh yeah, she
why
posted on Twitter
why would I
today.
be looking at her burned ass?
She grilled her ass on like a heater in a sauna.
Oh,
she sat down.
It wasn't like from the sun.
Oh no! She literally grilled it. I'm like, it's like like you put it on. It's like barbecue Kendra on the grill. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put another shrimp on the Barbie, huh?
Seriously, yeah. She posted it, so that's not me. She posted it. It's public knowledge at this point.
All right, Dan. You mentioned something about. I think the coaching is going to matter, but where I'm going with it is just think about last year.
Yeah.
The Chiefs they were down in the game. They kept battling back. Special teams helped out. I really think that last year the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, it's just kind of got in their head.
I think they blew it.
Yeah, I think like Mahomes and what the Chiefs were doing just kind of got in their head, and they went like you said. How many times did Buffalo go away from James Cook?
Yeah,
it was stupid.
Just poor decision.
What did the 49ers do against the Chiefs?
Yep, I agree.
I don't know what it is. Do they show these fronts where it's like, hey, we're not going to run here? And it's so funny because there was I heard that somebody on Radio Row today that was like, yeah, the Eagles struggled through the first 5 weeks of the year, and then they decided, why don't we just give the ball to Saquon Barkley?
Pretty much. That's pretty much what happened. Like there's no that is not incorrect. That is pretty much exactly what happened. They just kind of figured, hey, maybe we should run the ball more, and that's pretty much what changed their entire season.
So that's going to happen. You're going to get your healthy taste to Saquon. My question is, historically the Chiefs, when they get out to a lead, they know how to take the air out of the ball and really hold it, and I think if they go down in this one, it's going to be hard to come back, and I think it's because I called the Celtics front runners last year because they love to just get out to those big leads, and that's how they won all their games.
But they were the most talented team in the NBA.
But I think the Eagles have a case too. I think the Eagles. I hated the way they closed out both halves against the Rams. That first, and then the second half, it's like, how is this even a game right now?
Me too.
I worry about those things.
But what can LA do? They can get the ball downfield. They're explosive. That hasn't been Kansas City's game all year long.
Yeah, that's all crossing routes.
It's intermediate, short throws, and the problem is that is where, and you've wondered why Mahomes had so many turnovers at the beginning of the year. That's what happened. They kept throwing these intermediate routes. And I love Philly in that situation. If you're going to throw, short intermediate routes and you're not going to be explosive, Philly's going to kill you because they're not, they're going to go for it on fourth down with the tush push. They're going to extend drives. Other teams that Kansas City has played this year, they don't have that ability. So I don't see how that's an advantage for Kansas City. I've heard that a lot. I don't see that being an advantage for Kansas City at all.
What about, do you ever take in the rest, they got to bye, the Chiefs?
Yeah, I'm not at this point because I think they're both had a week off. I don't think it ultimately matters. I think both teams are the healthiest they've been all year. Like Philadelphia is going to have their entire offensive line back. They're all going to be healthy. Potentially having Brandon Graham back, which I've heard he is going to play, Joe. So that has been. At this point, it'd be a surprise if he didn't play. I know he's listed as questionable. It'd be a surprise if he didn't play. But it sounds like that he's legitimately going to play and be competitive in that. To me, that's a big thing. That's a big addition, especially off the edge there. Even if he only plays 15, 20 snaps, if he's pressuring you off the edge. And by the by, go back and take a look last week. Where did Kansas City struggle? They got beat at the right tackle position over and over and over again, and the left guard position over and over. you can't struggle against Philadelphia in those two spots. They'll kill you. So I think that's another part that no one's really talking about is the Chiefs' offensive line has really struggled at both the right tackle and the left guard spot without Joe Thuney the last couple of weeks. Thuney kicking out to the left tackle spot has been, I think, a disaster for them. I hated the decision. I understood it, but I hated the decision. I hate it even more now.
All right. So let's get into it. The total. I've leaned under. I've been leaning under. I really think this is going to come down to Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo. Like, that's what I think it's going to come down to. I know the previous matchup it went over. And, there are some things I do think the Chiefs can do. Like, they like to do that fake reverse to Xavier Worthy and see if they can find somebody on a crossing route. I do think that Hollywood Brown's going to try to make an impact in this game. Last week you saw Juju Smith-Schuster on a crossing route. The Eagles, I hope, when they see these receivers going, will at least give them a shoulder or a forearm or something. Buffalo wasn't doing it. So I'm hoping that Vic Fangio's defense does do some of those things in there. On the flip side of it, though, like Jalen Hurts, this is a chance for him to 2 Super Bowls. The team, they could win they could win literally with, they already won with Nick Foles. Now they get this guy here. But the way that the Eagles have done things, right? Like their blueprint, realistically, most of these guys are all through the draft. Now they did trade for A.J. Brown, right? They got Saquon Barkley as a free agent.
Yep.
They got Johan Dotson, like just out of nowhere. And I know he's a bit player for him.
He's been a very
But he scored a touchdown in the playoffs. All I'm saying is the way they built their team is through the draft. I think the Chiefs can say the same thing.
Yep. That's why I didn't want Drake May, because I wanted the Patriots to build through the draft before the quarterback, and I maintain that. Like, I think the good teams do that.
I just think it's going to be a defensive battle.
I do too. I think this is definitely set up for a defensive battle. The other part of this is I think that you're going to see a lot of ball control. Like, if I'm Philadelphia, I don't want Kansas City to have the ball very often. I want to play ball control, so I want to be very slow, very methodical. Unless I'm down, I don't want to give them the ball. Like, if I'm Kansas City and I'm designing the offensive plays early on, I'm running RPO, Saquon, pitch here. You know what I mean? I'm being methodical, and I'm going to be aggressive as well. I'm going to be aggressive on 4th down early, especially if it's 4th and short. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm thinking about going forward early. I think being methodical and aggressive is probably the way that you're going to see Philadelphia go. That would be my personal opinion, because I think that is the best way to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands and be aggressive in that way.
I got a wrangle for you.
I've heard this one.
Ron Torbort. Well, he's done pretty well in Patrick Mahomes games. 3-1.
To be fair, so is everyone.
True. The last time that he officiated a playoff game was when they beat the Bengals on that. Remember the late hit out of bounds that set up the field goal?
Yep.
Torbort. So just wanted to throw that in there. He also has a lot of experience with the Eagles. He has officiated Hurts 6 times while with Sirianni. Hurts is 4-2 straight up.
Yep.
When the total's below 47, the under between the two teams with Torbort, 60 and 61.
So pretty even there. I would say, again, I think because of the public perception, and you're having NFL players, Terrell Owens, all these players come out and publicly speak about the reffing. They're rigging games. They're doing this. They're doing that. I think there is a legitimate disadvantage for Kansas City with the refs this week, which is the first time I will ever say that, and probably the last time I'll ever say that if they lose. I think there is a legitimate edge for just straight up for Kansas City, for Philadelphia this week, because I think the amount of criticism going into the refs has been otherworldly, Joe.
All right, Dan, let's do the Super Bowl MVP, some prop bets. I got a couple.
Sure.
I'm ready.
Go. Great.
I want to know and I know you get some big bets. You saving them?
I'll say probably the bigger. I'll give out one. I'll give out one.
I want you to hype up the show.
I'll give out one probably big odds bet. Last year, my big odds bet was over 2.5 touchdown passes. Right?
Remember last year it was wasn't it
it was over 2.5 players.
Wasn't it? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
it was Juwan Jennings threw a touchdown.
I had the doink.
People have asked me like a billion times this year, is there any value in that? No.
I'd say no.
No, because you're not taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, and you don't want to take it out of Hurts, who's mobile.
Do you think they could fake a tush push? Ooh, here comes Skaz. Do you think they could fake a tush push?
I think they've probably been practicing.
And Saquon throws one over the top.
I think that's possible, certainly. I think they probably have set up a few, saved a few things for this situation when they actually need it with the fourth down. But the problem is, whenever they've gone away from the natural tush push, they have actually been fairly bad at it. So if I was them, if I'm Philadelphia, I would kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't do anything crazy. If you're on 3rd and 1, that's a great time to do it. But if you're 4th and 1, don't try the trick crap. Just push it and get the first down. You don't need to do anything extra. So 3rd and 1, maybe I would take a chance there, Joe. You know what I mean? But 4th and 1, no reason to do that. So I think it's going to really come down to situational spots for Philadelphia.
Skaz?
Yeah, so something I've seen kind of in the same vein as, a number of players to throw a pass is number of players to have a rushing attempt. I think the line is 7.5 in a lot of places, and these are two teams that have had wide receivers and other players, have rushing attempts. Is that something you guys look at, or is that a little too convoluted?
So I know that Philadelphia had Goddard run the ball twice last week, and that was the first time he got carries in the entire season. Again, Philadelphia is usually a 3-man rushing team. Usually it's Gainwell, usually it's Barkley, usually it's Hurts, and then obviously Kansas City goes a little bit deeper. They have Worthy. They'll go, obviously Mahomes, Pacheco, and Hunt. So if I'm doing that, I think you're better off probably playing Kansas City over. I mean, again, if you think Philadelphia is going to go, some other route. Devonta Smith only has 1 carry this year. I don't remember if AJ Brown. I don't think AJ Brown had a carry this year. I think Jahan Dotson had 1. They were pretty fairly conservative in that type of situation. So maybe I don't think there's great value in the over in terms of rushers. I think you're probably better off with going with Kansas City at plus money or going with and again the over 2.5 passers. I'm on under there this year. So again, people have asked me a million times. I like under, not over this year.
All right, props. We'll do it next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
A good percentage of props. We have 2 hours tomorrow. It's gonna be Chris is in studio, me, Kendra, and Chris. We're gonna give out a lot of our props, a lot of our thoughts. I mean, Chris and I are both on Philly. We don't really need to rehash it. I think Kendra is going to be on Philly too. I don't know that for sure. She might be on Kansas City. Actually, now I think about it, she is on Kansas City. So it's me and Chris on Philly. Kendra's on Kansas City. We're just going to do mostly props. We're going to do briefly a few minutes of college basketball.
All right, can I just throw a couple at you?
Sure.
Get these ones out of the way because everyone's going to bet them. Travis Kelce over under 6 catches.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this one. I would say based upon his usage the last couple of weeks in the Fangio defense, I would say probably under. But I don't have a great strong lean on really either side over under on Kelce.
He's had 6 or more catches in 9 of his last 11 playoff games. The Eagles have allowed 11 catches to tight ends.
Yes.
They gave up 7 to Ertz and 11 to Ertz, 7 to Higbee.
Yes, and I had Ertz overs in that situation. The problem is that I know that they're probably going to end up focusing on Kelce. I will tell you that Kelce went under his playoff yardage for the first time since like 2020 last week, or 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. So I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't really have a thought on it.
Does Saquon Barkley go over 100 yards?
I think Barkley probably goes over 100. Yes, I know that that's a rarity in the Super Bowl era, et cetera. I think he probably goes over that. I don't have a ton of Barkley investments in terms of over yardage. Probably should, but I don't have anything in that situation because I think there's a real chance that they'll play like 8 in the box early and make Hurts beat them deep, which I think he can. So I think that's very possible. So I got nothing on the Barkley overs. I do have him for an anytime touchdown at like minus 175, minus 178-ish area. That's been a couple places. I know FanDuel still has a price around there. Chris had a price around there earlier today as well. So you can get a pretty good. I think anything under 190 is probably pretty, in my opinion, is plus EV. Again, I don't love it, but I like Barkley anytime touchdown.
Okay, you brought up Jake Elliott. I actually want to take the over on both.
Okay.
Jake Elliott, more than 6.5 kicking points.
So, yeah, I mean, again, you're basically saying it's another way of basically saying over 2.5 field goals for Elliott, or over 1.5 field goals, excuse me. I mean,
he's hit the number in all 3 playoff games.
Yeah, I don't have a strong lean on that one.
How about Harrison Butker over 1.5, which I'm going to ring the bell on that one.
Okay. I've heard that he was struggling in practice this week. So that's the rumor going around the betting sphere. I don't have anything. I do think that, I still like him over. I still like the longest field goal, Kansas City, et cetera, those type of things. I don't love them. I like them. But I do think there is some legitimacy to him struggling a little bit because of the sickness.
All right, I got another one.
Everyone's going to say that one's karma too, by the way. So it's kind of
I bet this. I even bet this when it was Tom Brady and I lost. So just... But this one's a little bit, I've investigated a little bit. I'm going to go over 6 rushing attempts for Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, let me ask you why, because I'm on the other side of that.
Okay. He's had 18 carries already in 2 playoff games.
Yep.
8 of them were designed runs. And did you know that kneel downs count as a rushing attempt?
So, again, I think that correlates to if you like Kansas City, you like the over. If you don't like Kansas City, you like the under. I think that's an...
Well, I'm ringing it, baby.
That's a correlation play. So that means you like Kansas City. That's what that means. Just giving you...
I've been telling you that.
Okay,
I've been telling you I haven't made an official pick yet.
I have under. I have under 6.5 on him. I played it, I think it was like
so
minus
you have under
130.
and I have the over.
Yeah.
All right.
You have over 5.5. It was open 6.5. It was one of the
But I think he goes
bets.
over.
I have under 6.5.
And did you know the touchdown that he scored was the same play that Lamar Jackson scored?
100%. Yep. They ran the exact same plays.
So I feel like they're going to look at what worked in some other games.
But you can't run that against Philly. Cannot.
No, they're
not work.
That's out.
Will not work. They are way too athletic in that spot to run that type of play. I do not think that will work at all.
One of the most bet is Dallas Goedert to have a touchdown.
Everyone loves the 50+ on Goddard and the anytime touchdown. I got
49.5.
I have nothing on Goddard. I know it got up to like 54, 55 and came back. I think FanDuel had like 51.5 as of Monday or Tuesday whenever I did the show with Chris. I think that was the number. I got nothing on Goddard. I nothing on the over-under for me. I do think that Kansas City has struggled with tight ends at times, but they were phenomenal last week, I thought, against Kincaid. I thought they did a really, really good job against the Buffalo tight ends last week. So I I'm probably again another. I don't have a strong feel on him either way. I would actually probably lean under if I had to.
Well, Xavier Worthy over 5.5.
Okay, so if you're gonna take a player for Kansas City, you really like over. To me, Worthy is the guy I love in this game for them. Philly has struggled against one type of player this year in offenses. Outside of tight ends, it's been speed. Speed has really hurt them over the top, and I think Worthy is that type of guy. I've heard multiple people on the station call him a gadget guy. That's not true. Please watch the games. Xavier Worthy is not a gadget guy. He plays more of the Tyreek Hill role than he does the. I don't know, who's a gadget guy who Kansas City has had the last few years? Skaz, do you have one a gadget guy at Kansas City's had? I know they've had one. I'm trying to Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman is probably the best. Is the biggest gadget guy. I would say Worthy he plays more the Tyreek Hill role than that role, than the Hardman role, and I think Worthy is going to be a big part of that. I have some really big number props wrecked to Worthy. I'll give those out tomorrow, but I am overs on Worthy. I like overs on Worthy. I like over 55. I laddered him up to, I think, 80, 90, 95 plus. I do like overs on Worthy. I think he is the one guy who has a real chance to break one, hit one, except that type of play, 40, 50-yard play, and I think over on receptions, too, pretty good.
All right, Dan, anytime touchdown. I'm going to ring this one.
Got.
So, every year the Chiefs have had someone go that's over 500 or more.
Not against Buffalo. Not against Tampa Bay. That is not a true.
They didn't score any touchdowns against Tampa Bay.
Right. So that's not.
No, I meant. Well, they've had 5 people score that were over 500.
Right. I know, but I'm saying if everyone says they've had one in every Super Bowl. Not true. They didn't have one against.
And I also would like to say that they scored 0 touchdowns against Tom Brady.
Correct.
But so where I'm going with this is I'm going to go with a long shot. Like Mecole Hardman was a long shot. Kadarius Toney was a long shot. Like no one thought of that one.
Yep.
So I'm going Juju Smith-Schuster.
I don't hate that one.
Right now it's plus 500. I would love to go like deeper than that if I could, like a Samaje Perine maybe at 900. But Juju in the Super Bowl, he's gonna feel the vibes. I hit on him his first week with the Chiefs, so I'm doubling down. I think he has a little crossing route and scores.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think the better Juju play for me at least is the longest reception. I think that's one that's been pretty popular, but nonetheless I think has some juice to it.
What about Kenneth Gainwell?
I don't think I don't know where you're going to use Gainwell except in obvious passing situations.
But 1,500?
Yeah, I don't love it. Again, I don't love it. Obvious passing situations, I think, again, if you're going to get around the goal line, you are going to give it to one man, and it's going to be the offensive player of the year. It's not going to be.
By the way, no touchdowns plus 1,200. Plus 12,000, excuse me.
For Kansas City or
everybody.
Yeah, I think there'll be some touchdowns. I don't think it'll be that bad. I'm a no on that. My long shot guys, if I'm going to go for Kansas City, I think Watson would probably be Justin Watson, who's been a pretty big safety blanket for Mahomes at times, is a pretty good one. I think Noah Gray is another one. I know you probably find him at 5-1 some places. I know Chris right now he's just 450, but I think Noah Gray is another one. I think it'd probably go that way. I still think if you're really looking for long shot touchdown value, I think Mahomes is probably the best one for Kansas City. Like I know he's not quite 5-1, but that's probably where I would go. I think that he probably represents the most actual value for an anytime touchdown.
All right, who's Super Bowl MVP?
So I played it a couple weeks ago. We talked about it when I came on here. I have Barkley plus 550. I think right now you can still get him in a few places like 3-1. To me, I think that is that's the value. I think Barkley 2+ touchdowns, big type game. Probably has a couple key runs. And
Barkley's plus 260 right now on DraftKings.
Okay, yeah. Well, shop around because that's maybe the worst price.
DraftKings.
That's the worst price in the market. I can.
Hurts is 350.
Yeah. I think Hurts is probably. I think I picked 370 at FanDuel the other day. I think Hurts.
Are you suggesting to shop books, Dan?
Yes, please shop line. So,
yeah. No, you're right though. If you want Barkley and I got 260 and you can get 300, what are you doing?
So I took 305 on Barkley earlier today, and Chris, he's now plus 260. I took 370 on Hurts yesterday at FanDuel. He's now 276. So shop around. You'll get some prices. They'll keep going up and down. I think Barkley and Hurts to me are the two guys that I would personally target if you want MVP bets. That again, I like Philadelphia, so a lot of my stuff is going to be Philadelphia based. If you like Kansas City and you don't want to go Mahomes, the only guy I think has a real opportunity to win would have to be a defensive player, which I don't think
Chris Jones.
But I think Jones has one of maybe the hardest matchup to go against. The Philadelphia offensive line is the best in the NFL. Like they're bar none. It's the best in the NFL. I don't think that's going to be a game wrecking situation to know what he's done.
Because I think Peter King said that when Brady won his first, he wanted Seymour or Seymour to get it.
Right.
It was like, are you serious?
Right. Yeah. So again, to me, I'm going to go the same type of route. I think Worthy is the type of guy you would look at potentially for a game breaking play. I think they're going to have him back there for kick returns and punt returns.
What about Devontae Smith? I mean, he had a huge game in the last meeting. He's ramping up.
Sure, Devonta Smith has been good, but that correlates to Jalen Hurts. I think that if Hurts has a good game and Devonta Smith has a good game, I think it's probably going to be Jalen Hurts who gets the MVP in that situation. So I don't think, even though 55-1, I don't think that that's probably big enough to me. I'd probably want like 80-1 in that situation. I don't think even though that's good enough. So again, I think if Devonta Smith has a big game, it's most likely off Jalen Hurts' arm. And I in that situation, in that scenario, I'm probably going Hurts there.
Anything else, Dan?
Yeah, I would be.
Oh, yeah. What's your sneaky bet? What's your favorite bet?
Yeah, but I'll give this one out because this is one I've actually started to play a little bit more, and I've added a little bit more liquidity to it. So the last couple of years, everyone has loved the opening kickoff result in the touchback, right? They'd say no or yes, whatever, and it's been a polarizing one. It flipped a couple of years ago in terms of the odds. It opened like plus 350 and then closed like minus 350 on the other side. I'll say the opening kickoff result in the touchback, no. Joe, I think, again, new rules this year. They haven't really. Books
so you
have
think
not
someone's
going
to take it out?
I think because of the kickers, right? I think you're not necessarily going to take it out, but I think the price right now, 230 or above, if you can find it, which it's definitely out there, 230 above, and to me is a plus EV price because I think you're probably going to want, a lot of these teams do not want Mahomes and Hurts starting at the 30-35. They want them starting at the extra 5-yard gain. And neither team has been super explosive on the kickoff returns. They both have very good, special teams tackling units. So that to me, that is a very solid bet at plus money. I think it's a legitimate one. So I like the plus 230 and above on the opening kickoff via touchback. No. That's one that I've been taking a little nibble about from a couple places. I've probably got, maybe
I like that.
and a half now.
So I don't know if I've probably told you the story, but one year it was the Bears Colts. My buddy bet opening kickoff for a touchdown that there would be a kick that Devin Hester would have a touchdown. And that the Bears would score first, like literally, and it all hit on the opening play.
Yep,
he hit for huge money and left the party.
Did he get paid out?
He got paid out. All right,
good for him because these days, I don't. Outside of a legal book, I don't think you're getting paid out.
Well, the thing nowadays is that they can go. This is what happens when you use, but they can look back and be like, oh, his toe was on the line and take it back. You got something, Skaz?
Yeah, just one I've been looking at that kind of has my interest peaked is I've seen it for plus 150 right around there in a couple different places, but both teams to have the lead at any point in the second half plus 150.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's a hard narrative bet to kind of bet. I think if you like Kansas City, the answer is yes. I think if you like Philadelphia, the answer is no. So that would be, I think that's more of a narrative bet. I think it's not a bad way to play like Kansas City. I think if you like Kansas City in this game, I think you're expecting a grinded out game where Philadelphia is going to have to come back at the end and try and score. I do not think, again, just take a look at the narrative for Kansas City this year. They've won a lot of games. They have not covered a lot of big numbers. So if you like Kansas City, Joe, I think that's a good play to play at Skaz. I also think Kansas City money line, maybe Philly plus 3.5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, you probably get up from 4-1 to like 2-1 on that. I don't think that's a bad way to play it either, Skaz. So same kind of concept there. But I think you're kind of expecting, if you think both teams are going to have the lead, this is not going to be a marathon game. It's going to be a kind of a grinded out game, and so you're probably liking Kansas City in that situation, Skaz. Not necessarily, but I'd say it's a little bit more correlated to Kansas City than it is Philly.
Someone just tweeted, "What do you think of Kareem Hunt going over 6.5 receiving yards?"
Again, it's hard to know what type of plays are written into game script and that type of stuff. I'd tell you that Philly has done a really good job against running backs out of the backfield the last couple weeks, and that's why that Hunt number is so damn low. I don't really have a good lean on that one, to be honest with you.
All right, Dan.
If you take a look at his first quarter rushing numbers, are all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So for Hunt, you see a wide range, 9.5 to 6.5. Very interesting type usage there.
By the way, in a minute or less, what did you think of the most valuable player voting?
I think it's absurd that people who are voting, the same people who are voting for first team All-Pro and MVP, are now voting for different things. I think you should lose your vote. If you voted for first team one player, first team All-Pro, and then voted for another guy MVP, I think you should lose your vote, and maybe you should find another sport to watch, because that's a ridiculous thing. Now, I did not make or break anything on the MVP. I basically had nothing on that market, so it did not affect me whatsoever. But if you're voting one guy first team All-Pro and one guy MVP, time for a new sport, time that you should lose your vote 100%. I think you're an effing moron if you do that.
I do think that Josh Allen was the most valuable player to his team,
which is a fair assessment. But then you have to vote for a first team All-Pro.
I do think Lamar Jackson had a hell of a year, but I do think there's that recency bias of him winning a couple.
All I'm asking for is consistency.
But I will say the biggest impact was Saquon Barkley. There's no doubt about it.
If you think that one player is the best player in the sport, then he should also be the most valuable player. Almost always. If you think that the quarterback is the best player, he should probably always be the most valuable.
Normally, in college football, the top offensive player wins the high. I mean, it's kind of common.
It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty pretty straight and streamlined. Like, if you have one guy in one position, you should have him in both positions. It's really that easy.
All right. Well, that was your musings for today. Anything bothering you, Dan? I was just going to say UMass. My musings tonight was going to be UMass paid off on that bet. This kid hit a half-court shot for $10,000, and they said his toe was on the line.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
They paid him.
Yeah, good.
But, what is it? Did they do it for, news? So we'd talk about it?
Maybe. I don't think so. I think they were just trying to be cheap.
If I hit a 3 and my toe was on the line, I'm throwing fists.
Oh, me too. You don't have to ask me 100%. If you're telling me I'm knocking you the F out.
Yeah, and I'd walk away.
100%.
I would walk away.
Sue me for the
feel good.
Sue me for the $10,000, and when you sue me, you say, you didn't pay me the $10,000.
And the other thing is, it's a kid. I know he's a college kid, but he's still a kid.
Yeah, like come on, man. Do you remember how broke we were in college? You have to do a lot of weird, different stuff for money in college back in my day. Hey, seriously, that's ridiculous. Just pay the damn kid.
We used to drink that $10 bottle of Kozaks. It was this huge bottle. My intern's here.
What was the damn drink that everyone used to love when I was in college?
Four Loko?
Four Loko, yeah.
Oh my God.
Four Loko was before they removed all the crap from it that is cancerous or whatever. Yeah, but everyone used to pound those things.
That was the juice, bro.
That was the stuff.
Oh my God, I remember that.
You still have not taken a side yet, Joe? You're not going to be on this weekend, are you?
I'm not.
Okay, you have to choose a side now, Joe. Choose a side. It's 9:01.
9:35. I will do Joe Me the Money.
No, right now. I'm here. 9:01, Joe. Peer pressure. You have to choose a side.
If it's a pick'em, give me the Chiefs.
Okay, there you go.
If it's a pick'em.
What about -1? You won't take -1 or -113 or -115?
I know we're late, but listen. The old teaser-rooney. How do you feel? Who's the side? Is it Eagles 7.5, 7 with the?
I would tease both sides.
I said the same thing.
No totals. I would tease both sides.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah, but I'm not a big.
So that's where I'm leaning right now. I'm leaning tease.
Okay.
The game. Listen. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think the line is set. Obviously, to get money on both sides, but I think it's going to be a close game.
I think there is blow-up potential in this one. Ooh. Being honest,
I've heard. You know who I heard Holly mention this. Michael Holly.
I think there's blow-up potential. I think you can see an absolute.
I'll give Holly credit because he said Ohio State would do the same thing. So he's hot right now.
I mean, he
told me I'm wrong.
Ohio State was the biggest bet of my life. You know that. That was my biggest wager of my life.
So
I think there is legitimate blowout potential in this one. I don't think it will happen.
What about the team? Like, the Patriots had pressure in 07.
Right. And 11.
And 11. But,
Yep.
I mean, to be like
I
history.
guess 12.
This is history making. If the Chief, they call it the three-peat.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Chief Pete.
Yep.
Can't say three-peat because of Pat Riley.
Screw you, Pat.
Got rid of Butler.
I know.
By the way, was Jimmy Butler a success in Miami?
No. Didn't win. Got close. Didn't win.
Skaz loving that one.
Yeah, didn't win. By the way, Skaz.
I mean, he's the closest thing to a star that they've ever had.
Skaz,
wasn't a star.
I do have a bone to pick with your boy who was on earlier. If you guys think the Celtics have the best analytics in basketball, you're not watching the games. You're not watching the games. This team sucks.
They're the only team.
They are not good in the past 20 games.
What he meant by it is they're still the only team in the top 5 in defense and offense.
Great. Give me the sample of the last 15 games, because I'll tell you that ain't the case.
The 15 games is better than the last 30.
No, it's not.
No, the 15 games?
No, it's not.
I mean, their last 10 games, they're like 8-2.
Joe, the last 15 games analytically, they are bottom of the league defensively. They're like middle of the league.
I was just using the record.
They're not good. They're not.
They're in a funk.
This is not a Celtics team right now that you go, oh, I'm going home about this team winning. Do I think they can still win? Absolutely. Do I think they will win? No. I don't think they're even going to win the East the way they're playing right now. This team does not care. And we've seen in past years, guys, and Skaz, you're the basketball guy. We've seen in past years teams try to turn it on for the playoffs. That has not fared well. That does not work in the NBA anymore. So I don't think that this is going to go very well for them. I'm very concerned about the Celtics. They have some time to fix it, but I'm very concerned about them.
Yeah, I think the defense is a legitimate concern. I think it's not even like their attempt to play defense, it's that they're not attempting to even try to play defense on most of these nights. So yeah, I'm with you that the defense is a legitimate concern with this team.
Yeah, I legitimately do. Right now, if you had to ask me who's winning the East, I would tell you I would take the field over the Celtics, no doubt about it. Like, wouldn't even, assuming we're talking about current pricing and market, I wouldn't even be a doubt. Like, I do not believe in the Celtics team. Now, they have the star power and the capability to completely change things, but in recent memory, in the last 10 years in the NBA, that has not been the case and not how it's worked. A lot of these number one seeds who were super talented ended up failing in that situation. I want them to win. So I'm hoping I'm wrong. I have a Celtics ticket. I want them to win. I'm very concerned with what I'm currently watching from them. So this is not me being negative because I want them to win. I am openly rooting for them to win. I make money on them winning, but I am concerned about them right now. Openly concerned.
All right. Dan's on tomorrow, 7 a.m.?
Yeah, 7 a.m.
All right, cool. Well, he'll be with Kendra, who's coming back from wherever she was from.
Costa Rica.
Okay, I didn't know if I should.
I don't know.
Say where everybody went.
She's gone at this point,
right?
She's gone at this point, yeah.
Hey, tomorrow, check it out. The Over Under podcast will be Dan. Chris Thurston will be there. Kendra will be there. They have all the picks. He's Dan Lifshatz. I'm Joe Murray. Dan, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And, we got another hour. By this hour of the Sports Hub was brought to you by Valvoline and Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com to save 15% off your next Strather oil change at Valvoline and Oil Change. Now, it's the official oil change place for busy people. And the headline that we haven't done yet is brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. We got to go to break. I'm Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub.
This is Boston's home for sports.
He scored! What a blast by Boston! Waiting, Holiday screams, good night!
WBZMM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Let him go, you know what I mean? He's got bets to give. He's got takes to give. Think about it. Dan gets 2 hours a week. That's it. So, plus you got to let some birds just aren't meant to be caged, He came in on Hall of Fame talk with bets. He has a side. He had a take on the Celtics before we left. What didn't he get to?
We got his UMass take, his Eli take, everything.
I got some gossip off the air. It was great. It's great. All right. Well, I see Mike from Woburn on the line, so we should do that. Mike, what's up, buddy?
Guys, how are you?
How you doing?
Oh, we're surviving. Hey, so the kid from UMass got paid, right?
So yes, and I put it in our Slack channel because the kid stepped on the line. UMass will pay the student who made the half court $10,000 after an insurance company said his foot was on the line.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a giant logo there. You can't even tell where the line is. Like, the insurance companies are such garbage. Until somebody sues them, they're just going to keep doing. Do you remember, the most famous shot that a fan took? It was like 30 years ago, because I remember this because they had like an anniversary. The Bulls, the Chicago Bulls had like a guy that threw one in from the opposite foul line for $1 million.
Yeah, it was a $1 million shot. He threw it from the other side of the court. I remember that.
Yeah, he threw it from the other side of the court. He makes it. The Bulls mob him. The place goes crazy. The company that was the insurance company that was sponsoring that contest didn't pay him either because he played college basketball.
Oh, that's whack.
And what happened was Jordan went to the Bulls and said, "You got to pay him." So the sponsors of the contest ponied up the money for the guy. He got $50,000 for 20 years. But these insurance companies, like, I know you were talking to Lifshatz and saying, like, if my toe's on the line, you better pay me. They're not going to pay you if your toe's on the line.
No,
this is what
we also
do.
said we'd punch him in the face, too.
Yeah. Which, you know what? If you could get a hold of the insurance company, I would be all for. I would pay some of your legal fees if you got to punch an insurance company representative.
Well, Mike, let's talk. Let's talk. Like, I call them rackets, right? What are some of the biggest like that insurance? That's a racket. I think of the cable companies right now. Like, you know what I mean? I tried to cancel. I tried to cancel everything and just keep my Wi-Fi, and it still would have cost me $125.
It's ridiculous. I think that it costs a company or a place that's holding an event $20,000 to insure $1 million event every time they do it. So those companies are making bank. There's less than a 1% chance that you're going to make a shot like the guy in the Bulls did that made that shot. So they're making money on this, and when they finally have to pay out, they're looking for any excuse not to get you, and I not to give it to you. And I agree with you on the cable company. Do you know the other one that's driving me crazy, and I work from home, so it makes me insane, is printer cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheaper for me to buy a brand new printer with the cartridges with it than get replacement printer cartridges. What kind of world are we living in, right?
That's a good one. Hey, know what I wanted to ask you? I actually had this in our rundown. I didn't get to it yet, but Alex Ovechkin's 15 goals away from tying Wayne Gretzky for 894 goals. Gretzky played 1487. Ovechkin has played 1464. Now, obviously, the assists are a different thing here, but where do you put Ovechkin if he passes Gretzky, and does he – I mean, is he 1-2 now with Gretzky all time?
In terms of all time, no. But I think I would put him easily in the top 3 of all-time great goal scorers. Like, he's up there with Mike Bossy. He's up there with Gretzky. He's up there with anybody who's ever, like Gordie Howe, anybody who's ever played hockey and scored goals. Like, his talent for it is just – it's incredible, and it transcends age. I mean, unless there's some we'll say Russian pharmaceuticals that are assisting him. But you still got to give him credit. Like that, every time everybody knows where Ovechkin's going to be on the ice on a power play, and he scores every time from there. It's you know, what is it? It's like what's his face from Marvel? He's Thanos. He's you know, he's inevitable. He's going to score.
All right, Mike. You have a take on the game at all this weekend?
The Super Bowl. I hope that the outrage about the referees causes a backlash, like you guys were saying, and the Eagles win with some ridiculous calls going the other way. Because I'm just tired of what's going on week in and week out in the NFL. It's so annoying. It's so predictable. There's no team ever in my lifetime that has benefited from like the officials like the Chiefs have, and that includes the Patriots. The Patriots got screwed a few times, quite famously. The Chiefs, like the most famous call that went against the Chiefs and Mahomes had a nervous breakdown was the actual correct call. Like nobody screwed that team yet. I'm dying to see it on the biggest stage.
All right, Mike. Enjoy the weekend, man. Appreciate you calling in. We go from Mike in Woburn to JP in North Providence. Hey, JP.
Joe, it is a Friday night, and it's after 9 o'clock, correct?
Correct.
Time to go off the rails, Joe. Got an old school call coming, a few topics, little leeway. First of all, this just jumped in. It goes, Gretzky, Ovechkin, Howe. Again, Bobby Orr, Gretzky, Ovechkin, Howe. And I'm fired up. Vinatieri, some of the greatest plays, not just kicks, some of the most famous plays in NFL history. He's not in. Travesty. Eli Manning. I equate him. He's borderline to Roger Maris. Had a great 1 year. He's borderline. I don't put him in. That's who I equate him to. Now, Joe, I'm a little worried about tomorrow night. What if the snow's bad and you can't get to the remote you're doing tomorrow night? What's the name of the place again?
It's Sunday, and I will share this with everybody, but
Sunday.
We'll be doing a pregame huddle on Sunday. We'll be there. I'll be there basically. I think we're there 2 hours before kickoff. So it'll be a pregame huddle. We got the street team. We're giving away a bunch of stuff. It's at Game Time in Peabody, right at the North Shore Mall. So if you know where Polana is, it's just right to the left.
Sure.
It's just across the street there at the mall. But Game Time.
Still no luck getting into Polana's. We're going up to the place in Salem, but that's fine, Joe.
Who are you going in Salem?
Oh, I just forgot the name of the place, the little Italian restaurant. I blanked. You know, I forgot the name of it. It might come to me. I'll stall a little bit, pretend I know what I'm talking
there's
about.
Bella Verona. This Tuscany.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
You know me better, Joe. Love Bella Verona. They play Italian music. The only problem is they put the expensive specials on a eraser board at the chair. So when she goes to the bathroom, I got to erase a couple of the fish meals because it's market price of the day. Got to be careful there.
Dude, there's a lot. I'm telling you, man. Downtown Salem is bumping, bro. Like,
I never thought Italian restaurant, Joe. You're right.
Well, listen, you're going for the Italian, but like, there's they have there's great Indian food. There's so much good Asian food there, but
no, out,
huh?
Out. I saw Temple of Doom out on Indian food. Now, Joe, couple other things.
Yes.
Super Bowl food we haven't talked about. I won't get to talk to you. Are we doing pulled pork on the nachos? What are we doing there?
Okay. Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to a party this year. Last year I went to Hooch's. You don't know Hooch, but he's also a very fine men's clothing wear guy.
Yep.
But yes, listen. You know what's number one for me, dude. This is for real. I really mean this about Super Bowl parties in general. I want the platter, whether it's charcuterie or I need dips. Like, give me all the chips, all the dips, all the wings, finger food, appetizers. I don't need the big boy dinner. I just need the finger foods. Anything that I can grab with my fingers and dip. I'm all over it. But, dude, I love buffalo dip.
Yeah, I had a great dip the other day, Frosty, with my French fries from Wendy's.
See?
Outstanding.
There you go. I get mocked for this. You know that?
Oh, no, you dip nuggets in the the Frosty. That's what they're there for, Joe. Come on.
Well, maybe we could
It's
play.
not American if you're not dipping in ice cream.
I feel like it would be a nice night to play the McMurray song, Skaz. I don't know where you can find it in the system, but I always tell I tell the story, JP, that I worked at a McDonald's. Okay, I went from McDonald's to the Big Chair, everybody, and when I worked there one day when I was like 16 or 17, pregnant woman came up to me and she goes, "I want French fries, and I want hot fudge, and I want it now." And I went, "Okay." So I got her French fries, I got her the chocolate hot fudge, and then I sat with her and I dipped my fries in the hot fudge with her, and I said, "This is a game changer." And ever since that day, it's what I do.
100% in, Joe. And score for Sunday night, 27-24 Eagles. On Aaron Carter gets a fumble back, and they go down and score, and they win. Saquon wins at the goal line, 3rd and goal. And Joe, I got a question for you. Do you know what it would sound like if Keith Jackson, since you were talking about Bill Belichick, Keith Jackson's calling the North Carolina-Alabama game next year, and he sees Jordan on the sidelines? You know what it would sound like? What he would say?
What was it, Matt Musburger or Keith Jackson?
Oh, no, Keith Jackson, Joe.
Oh, Nelly! Bill Belichick with a sophomore.
You got it. You nailed it, Joe. You know me well. Have a great weekend, Joe.
Thanks, JP. I'm Keith Jackson. Whoa, Nelly! Another touchdown for Alabama from the sophomore. Yeah, I didn't have to think about a spread this year, guys. I'm going to Game Time. I'll give them a little plug here. This place, okay? I don't want to compare it to anything. But just imagine Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. Video games. They got every single game. It's an old Bally's, so the basement used to be a pool. Now it's just a bowling alley. They have axe throwing, pool tables. It's legit. And bring the kids because, man, there's a lot of video games. A lot of them. But, yeah, Game Time. I'll be there on Sunday just before the game. Get you hyped up for the game. And I know, I've seen the we haven't given an official over-under yet. Why don't we think about that, guys? We'll take a break. I want to give it a snow total. I want to hold us accountable for that. We'll take a break. I'm Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. More Joe Murray.
All right. Back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. All right, we're going to make this one quick. I can't remember what time it is anymore. There's going to be snow this weekend. People in our chat are saying under 6. Some people are saying 7 to 8. So we do 6.5 as a number, Waltham? I'm going to say under. The one thing I will tell you, though, is this. I don't know if people know a lot about this about me, but in 2015, February of 2015, so it was 10 years ago at this time. Maybe you might remember, Skaz. I worked at a car dealership. And I don't know if anyone understands when you work at a car dealership. And I did their business development, so like I wasn't selling cars. You know what I mean?
You were moving cars, Joe.
Well, that's what they needed. So I'm not really like, fleet of foot in the snow. So when you work at a car dealership, that you back all the cars up so you can plow in front of them. And then you key them all up, and then... Well, I was the pusher. So I would get behind the sedan and push the car out of the snowbank while somebody was in it. And that was my job. And then I would collect the key and put it on a hook. Well, in 2015, I swear to you, Skaz, we must have got maybe 6 feet of snow in a week. And I'm not exaggerating by any means. So that was the day that I said, you know what? This car business thing, I'm out.
Boston received 111 inches of snow during the 14-15 winter season. Snowmageddon, the all-time record. And Joe, you were out in the parking lot moving. Yeah, my brother used to do the same exact thing, and those were his least favorite days of the year.
Joe Math tells me that that's 9 feet. I said 6.
You undersold it.
I did. No, I'm telling you right now, it was the worst.
That was when we still had snow, like July 4th. There was still a pile of snow in Boston.
You're right. Yep. They because remember their memes. They had the memes for it. So the one thing that I do remember from that is it was President's Day weekend, which is like the biggest car weekend going, and we got slammed Saturday and Sunday to the point where on Monday, dude, we were frozen in. It was frozen. And that was the day where I go, you know what? This thing, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I was working in radio, but then I took a nice little indoor sales job. And I would work sales Monday through Friday, and I would work weekends and nights at the Sports Hub. And then eventually I got hired 10 years later. Or is it 9 years later now? So 6.5 is our number? Man, we got slammed in 2015, dude. I think people did quit. Like, I'm not kidding you. I think it was so bad. Oh, now, knock on wood, but I don't think we've had snow like that since. I don't even think we've touched 90. Oh man, I should stop. You know me, I'm the Reaper. I haven't killed anybody in a while.
The snow miser, Joe Murray.
No, so Trent doesn't know this, but whenever I talk about someone who might be up in age, I'm the Reaper, bro. Like, I could talk about someone and then find out they died.
Unfortunately, I think we had like 3 or 4 last year.
Yeah. But I'll never forget one night I'm driving down the Cape and I was listening to Jimmy Buffett. And I'm like, man, Buffett's so good, huh? I woke up the next day and Jimmy Buffett was dead.
All your fault, Joe.
I screamed. One night I watched this George Michael special on Christmas Eve. Dead the next day. So I haven't killed anybody in 2025 yet, but there was remember Dick Van Dyke? Dick Van Dyke was 99 years old. We celebrated his birthday. And then there was a fire. And he got saved. So we're up this year. All right, we got to go to break. You know what's next? Joe Me the Money. Next here on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Solak and Bertrand get you through the midday. Joe Murray gets you right through the night.
I actually spoke with women today.
On the Sports Hub.
For you. It's a very personal, very important thing. Hell, it's a family motto. Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Here it is. Show me the money.
Spot for a Glock. I took a long overfloss, but still got a knock.
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the money.
Oh, no, you can do better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it what you would mean it, brother. Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
Yeah, no. Show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell at me.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
The Celtics minus 1.5 tomorrow against the New York Knicks. Ding, 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 ding. I was looking at an EPL game for tomorrow.
The research department has gotten back to me.
All right, I'm looking at the total of 3.5 between Aston Villa, and Tottenham.
I'm being told that the last 2 times these teams played, it went over.
Give me the over 3.5. EPL, Aston Villa, Tottenham tomorrow. All right. I have yet to give out the pick. I'm going to do it now. The betting line right now has the Chiefs at a pick 'em, depending on what book you're at. I have been consistent saying that if I can get the Chiefs at a pick 'em or less, I'm going to take the Chiefs. So therefore, I am taking the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl for a Chief Pete. I'm taking them to win. I would like it money line if it was anything 0.5 or 1. I think it's really going to be that type of a close game. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Joe, we're getting some slight clarification. That is an FA Cup game tomorrow, not
FA Cup.
Not the EPL.
Sorry, FA Cup. I apologize, but I'm not sorry. See, it's hard for me. I was telling them this the other day. How do I find the bets for soccer? I know it's easy, right? You click this, you click that. But tomorrow at 7:30, in my head, it's English Premier, right?
Joe, I'm also being told the game is on Sunday.
Do you want to know who's lying here? It's not me. It's ESPN. Because you know what they said? 7:30 Sunday. Whatever. It still counts for this weekend, right?
Absolutely counts for the weekend.
But it's tomorrow somewhere else, right? It's Sunday, not EPL. Yes.
That's a good, pre-Super Bowl appetizer there.
I have been told by multiple people now.
Of course.
Because, we do work in facts.
We work in facts.
All right. Well, that's it. We'll wrap up this show here on the other side. I'm Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the
Buzz afternoons right now. Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
You today, by the way. So listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have the mental capacity for that. And here's why. I've worked on that show. I worked on that show for a very long time. And I've had strange people in that studio many, many, many times. Guys, you were here for one of them. It was like the luchador.
It was way back. I was on the street team, and that was when they brought like 20 people into the studio.
It was like the NWO of like mascots for the Bruins fans.
I was basically just here to do like parking outside and like corral them.
That was Dorchester, right?
Yes, yeah.
Man, I remember that.
Yeah, I obviously, I'm not usually awake at 8 a.m., so I missed it this morning, but from what I've heard, I think it's what I'm going to be listening to on my drive home tonight.
Yeah, you know what? I did not have the capacity for that today. Yeah, dude, I felt like a truck hit me this morning. I don't know what it was. I've also been doing. Finally, the season's over. I mean, not for nothing. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I started literally the week of mid-August Patriots. I was down at camp, and I did all 20. I think it's 26 weeks, guys. I think this is like week 26 since August. And that's half the year, dude. And not for nothing, we came off the Celtics championship run in June. So I think like we took like a vacation in like July, I think. And then we were back at it in August, ready to go for the Patriots. So, today I felt it. But we get the Super Bowl on Sunday. I will be doing a pregame huddle at Game Time in Peabody. I'm telling you, this place rules. Especially if you have kids, let them run around. But they do have the adult section as well. Lots of beers. The food, I'll be there. The street team will be there. We're giving away a bunch of stuff and support what those guys are doing. I really like it. And plus, it's around the corner from my house, so I'm very happy about that. And Kendrick, I don't know. Do we have any Kendrick Lamar props? Do you think we'll get like a Drake shout out or anything like that, or a Drake hate? They're not like us. They're not like us. And it's just this little picture of Drake.
We're absolutely getting that.
Did Drake ever do? Yeah, he did Super Bowl Sunday, right? I feel like he
might have come out for someone.
Like
I don't know.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
First song, Humble, is the favorite.
See, they're going to blank out the B word.
I mean, they're going to have to blank out a good amount with Kendrick, but I think the beauty of this for Kendrick is, I don't know if you watched any of the Grammys. I didn't watch a ton of it, but when Kendrick won, the crowd just sang, the parts that are supposed to be bleeped
Taylor
out.
was doing the stanky leg.
So I think, that's going to happen at the Super Bowl again. So if Drake's hoping that the FCC is going to help him out, I think the crowd is going to step up and deliver for Kendrick.
They not like us. They not like us. So you're going to hear that. Those the words. You know what? I'm happy for Kendrick Lamar. I think he's been pretty good. I think he's not your typical mainstream rapper that is getting a mainstream opportunity here. The Super Bowl commercials, you think we'll get another Boston one?
They already teased it. Yes, it was Casey Affleck, Ben, and Jeremy Strong.
And the guy was in the beans.
Yeah, that was Jeremy Strong from Succession.
Whack.
Yeah, he's also a Boston guy, so I would imagine we're getting another Boston commercial.
I just don't want accents.
Yeah, out on accents. Out on fake accents, I should say.
Do you think Taylor will be there?
Yeah.
No. I mean, like on stage.
No.
She's too big for the Super Bowl. Listen, the Super Bowl's big.
She's got enough going on. Her man's in the game.
Taylor Swift's bigger. I think she's bigger than the act that they get.
Joe, people don't want to hear this, but Aston Villa Tottenham might be bigger, do bigger TV numbers than the Super Bowl. And if you think I'm just saying that, I'm not. Well, you could look at the data. Those Premier League and FA Cup games do insane TV numbers.
Well, listen to everybody in the Football Association. Take the over. Okay? Take the over. All right, that's it. We got our snowstorm warning over under 6.5. Shout out to our buddy Trent. Trent's an intern with us from Dean, so he's been doing some excellent job with photos and graphics. So if when you see the graphics, it's Trent. It's not me. I don't know how to do them, and me and Skaz don't do it good. We tried. But you know what? We learned how to do the video graphics, so I guess we're doing all right. So thanks, Trent, for all your help. James Scaramazino, another excellent week from you. We're back next week. We got full shows.